What are you doing, D? Is there a frog? Is there a frog jumping or what? What'd you see? What got you all spooked? Nothing to be spooked about, D. The world is not so scary. Hello, 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 everyone. It is, yeah, it's a day. Today was a day. It's just a frustrating goddamn fucking day. I don't know what to tell you guys. I'm not really gonna vent about why because there's no point, but it's just a goddamn fucking frustrating day. You ever have one of those days where it's like from the moment you step out of bed, everything that can go wrong does go wrong, and by the end of it, you're just like, oh man. I'm waiting for my phone to explode. You know what I mean? Like, today was just not a good day. Five seconds in and already a ban. It's just not my day. No es mi deal. Hello, Duck. I like wild cherry stuff, but I don't really like Pepsi. Today was a bad day. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Wake up in the morning, shouldn't thank God. Looked in the mirror, yeah, I still look really odd. Lots of barking from my dog, hella smog. And I don't live with my mama, so no breakfast at all. I didn't eat nothing because my tummy was upset. Finally got a call from my coworkers to film some shit. Dude, bars. I'm rewriting the old Ice Cube classic. Hey, I actually got the notification on time. Well, that's positive. That's a positive. On the recent DFF about weird stuff in food, is there anything that actually grosses you out? Anything that grosses me out? Yes, lots of foods gross me out, bro. I don't like fish. I don't like meat that's on the bone. I don't like anything that's made from organ meat. Like, I don't like anything that's stuffed in a stomach, you know? Like, miss me with that. Miss me with the liver and the heart and the eyeballs and the nostrils, too. You're here by happenstance, so that's good. Do you like mochi ice cream? I've tried it, and I think I liked it. It's been a long time since I had it. I don't remember it being, like, the best thing I ever tasted, but I remember it being okay. I tried the mochi. You grew up in Cali and you don't eat fish? I don't. No, not really. Never got the taste for the fish. Never liked the fish. Never was a fan of the fish. Shellfish are an exemption. I eat all the shellfish. I'll eat all the fucking crabs and all the fucking lobsters. Look, dude, it doesn't have to make sense. These are my weird food hang-ups. I've talked about them with you guys before. I've traced back some of them as best I can. But as an adult, there's certain things that'll happen while I'm on the normal course of eating a meal that'll make me fucking queasy. And there's certain things that I just won't even try to eat. So I don't ask other people to adhere to my weird dietary fucking hang-ups, but I've got a lot of them, man. Between Paul and my boss at the factory always fucking us over, I'm starting to agree more and more with the labor movement despite my being economically right-wing most of my life, so thanks, I guess. Hey, you're welcome. Welcome to the fucking struggle, dude. welcome to true self-reliance and shit, because like that's really one way that I think you could put the labor movement in context for people who are more economically right-wing, is saying like, look, the ultimate expression of taking care of yourself and your family is to make sure that every hour that you spend in the service of somebody else is maximally efficient, that you're getting paid what you're worth. Because every minute you spend out there at that factory is a minute you don't get to watch your kid grow up. You don't get to, finger bang your wife or whatever it is you want to be doing. You know what I mean? You're giving these people your fucking time. And the number one way you could take care of yourself and your family is to make sure that you're being compensated properly. Because you can't trust these bosses to do it. They don't give a fuck, clearly. I think that's a real door opener of an argument, not for every fucking economically conservative person or conservative person in general, but it's an example of an argument that could be made in the right context, to the right audience, that, I don't know, man, might be good. Mega Millions goes up to $1 billion jackpot. What are the lucky numbers, Paul? Dude, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, bro. That's what's gonna roll. I think we all have selective eating habits to a certain extent. I know I certainly do. I won't consume any seafood that's prepared raw. The texture of some foods disgusts me. Sure. I think a lot of people do. There's some people that just don't really have hang-ups, and I kind of envy those people. I wish I could be more like adventurous and less like concerned about what the texture and flavor and everything of everything that's going into my mouth. But I don't know. Dude, I've got weird fucking hang-ups with it, and there's not a whole lot I could do as an adult to change it, so I don't really bother. Gristle and meat, yeah, that's one of the things, dude. Like if I'm eating like a chicken breast or something, Amelia saw this happen the other night. I always feel bad about it, especially when I have to do it in a way that like the fucking person who cooked the food is gonna notice, because it has nothing to do with them. They didn't put no fucking cartilage in the meat on purpose or whatever. But she made some chicken breasts and stuff, and I ate about half of mine, and I got a bite of it, and I just hit this fucking like big old ribbon of fat and gristle and cartilage or whatever, and I couldn't like some people, they hit that and they're like, and they spit it out and they keep going. I can't, like, for me, everything that's on that plate becomes inedible after that happens to me. And I know it makes no sense, but I don't try to explain it to other people. Like, it puts me off of eating altogether, and I just won't do it. Dogs love that stuff. Yeah, I suppose they do. Speaking of dogs, where's Dinor? Where you at, D? Come here. I get the feeling I'm gonna have to put you inside, huh? You're gonna be a wanderer tonight. You were starting to wander. Glad somebody mentioned dogs. You were gonna go out in the dark where I couldn't see you. You know that's a no-no. Supposed to stay here. Let's let you inside. You wanna go inside? Let's let you in. Okay. Because Dad's gonna be distracted. Mom's not out here with him right now. And it's nighttime. It's raining. Keep an eye on you. Keep you in the house. Come in the bed. Oh, what a fucking day. Oh, what a fucking day. Oh, what a motherfucking day. Oh, what a fucking day. I don't even know what to do for you guys tonight. I'm sorry. Sometimes I come to these with good intentions, but not much in the tank, I guess. You know, things maybe will turn around. I'm not going to end it. Sticking these out has been fruitful sometimes in the past, but sometimes these just start bad and end bad. As much as I want to be like lighthearted, mirthful, and engaged and shit, I'm not. Bad days. Karaoke, yeah. What's your favorite X, dude? Why? Why is my favorite X? That should be fixed now, Jacob. The video is back up on YouTube. Problem solved. If you go back to Patreon, you should find it there. Same post, YouTube video now instead of a fucking, Vimeo one. Hey, Paul. Hey, Bryce. Was the edgy joke removed? Indeed it was. The edgy joke was removed. I like the double bite capital one. Trust me, like, not moved out of some desire to censor ourselves, removed out of a desire to keep our fucking accounts open and shit. It was just one of those things. You know, editor delivered a fucking video. We got a chance to look at it about 5 minutes before it went out. We were like, that's probably okay. And then we started thinking about it. And we were like, it's probably not okay at all. It really, like, here's the thing, dude. I'll be dead ass honest with you. If it was worth, like, you didn't miss anything. Let's just put it that way. It was like an out of context rant that I did in a New Yorker accent, talking a bunch of racist shit. And for some reason, our editor decided to layer more edginess on the edgy and take it out of context, which it just seems like it's bait to get our shit banned. I don't think that's what the editor was thinking. I think they were just trying to kind of go with the flow and do something funny and visually accompanying with the edit, but it ended up being just adding the visual element to what I was talking about was just like, oh, all right. You know what I mean? So it's like one of those things that it happened, and hopefully in the future it won't be an issue because deliverables won't be coming out like a day before they're going out to people. But we're structuring towards that, and that's all there is to say about it. You know, like, you guys ain't missing out on shit. Not your best bit. I mean, the bit was fine, honestly. I stand behind the bit. I've definitely said worse shit. And it was, you know, but it was just the way the bit melded with the fucking visual accompaniment of it just seemed like, please ban us, you know? So, none of that shit. I wish we lived in different times, but I mean, this is the best intention. Why do you say our editor when the editors signed the video they made with their usernames? That's something we allowed them to do because they can work for other people other than us. I mean, we're not probably tossing them enough work to advance in life to the point where they would like to, and editors oftentimes work for other people. So yeah, but I mean, we work with the same editors over and over again. So that's why I say our editors. These are people that we're punting work to constantly that work for us. They may work for other people too, but that's the point of letting them put their little signature on it. They're ours. Joking about the presumption of anonymity. Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. Yeah, it doesn't land over fucking text sometimes, but that ain't your fault. That's the downside to this type of communication. No, I get what you're saying. I don't know. I just do it because I don't expect people to know the names of our editors and shit. So I just say our editors. Do you think they could possibly over-edit? Yeah, for sure. That's something that, you know, we're keeping an eye on. This whole idea of cleaning up our content, making it a little more visual interesting, and having somebody put a little signature look on it. Something that we're doing very carefully, you know what I mean? It's something that we're experimenting with, and this is, you know, what the shit today was an outcropping of that, but you know, we're working on a process. We're getting close to the goal. Aren't editors pretty expensive? I mean, sure, I guess. How do you guys make the DFF thumbnails? They're usually made in Photoshop. You don't want to over edit it and make it seem too clean. Right. I mean, a lot of like the whole idea with an edit is we have to realize, and I'll get to your super chat here in a minute, bud. We have to realize that you know, a lot of what draws people to our content is that conversational, anything can be talked about, anything can happen nature of it. We don't want to kill that, but we also want to dress it up, you know, make it, if there's ways that we can visually enhance a joke or something, throwing that kind of stuff in there has always been appealing to us. It's something that we wanted to, you know, possibly do from the very start, once we stopped relying on the live streaming model for the show. Got a wisdom tooth out this week. What's your worst oral injury / operation? I've been really lucky with my teeth, bro. I have a feeling that those chickens will come to roost here in the next 20 years of my life. But up until this point, and I'm pretty decent about my oral hygiene. I'm not going to claim that I'm doing everything a dentist would probably want me to do, but I brush my fucking teeth and, you know, I try and keep shit clean. And I've been real lucky. I got good genes with my teeth. I've only had one cavity that was bad enough to be filled in my life. I still have my wisdom teeth, and they never got pulled out. The worst thing that happened to me with my teeth, honestly, was when I was a kid, I had braces, which, you know, to correct the crookedy teeth thing. And that sucked, having braces. But that's actually a luxury for a lot of people, so I don't like bitching about it, you know. Yeah. At the end of the day, it sucked, but it's lucky, you know. I was able to... Oh, yeah, I chipped my tooth when I fell. Right there. There's that, but I never got anything done to correct it. Having 7 of my normal teeth pulled was a close second to getting all 4 of my wisdom teeth out, yeah. Yeesh. Yeah, I've been very lucky when it comes to the fucking dental shit, for sure. Ever thought of filming very short contextual skits to add to the episodes? Actually, yeah. It's funny that you ask that question. We've had a lot of creative talks about the show and how we can, you know, keep entertaining the people that are entertained by it, but make it even better. Add a little spice. Take advantage of the fact that they're not, you know, like they're not coming out live anymore, so that there's time to layer different things in. So yeah, we've talked about it. I don't know if it's something that we'll end up doing all that often, but it's definitely something that I think you'll see in the future at some point. It's the craziest visual you've had on acid. We talked about this not that long ago, I think, on a show. But since you paid, I'll answer it again real quick. For me, the craziest visual I had on acid was when I took a type of acid that was described to me as being called Ganesha. I took it with my girlfriend at the time, Ashley, and TJ and Chelsea, and we were all on a kind of like a retreat into the woods together. And we all dropped acid one night, and I was in the hot tub with all 4 of them just chilling. And while I was in there, it was like the hot tub became the globe, the entire earth, and we were all giants living on it, and each giant ruled one part of the globe. And all this was happening in my mind. It was like the water stretched, and the distance between me and the person sitting across from me in the hot tub became longer and longer. The curvature of the water started to happen, and I really genuinely like felt like I was a giant, just like playing in the ocean. It was cool. That's probably one of the more memorable visuals I've had on acid. The other I've told you guys about too was staring at myself in the mirror at TJ's old house while taking a poop on acid. You know, seeing myself age 2 different ways. I remember the gorillas in the trees story. Oh yeah, that was on mushrooms though. The ape tree. That happened on mushrooms. Did it make the poop smell funny? I don't even remember if the poop smelled all that. The poop smell was completely overwritten by the fact that I was staring into my own eyes and watching myself age and get wrinkly and withered and watching my beard turn gray and scraggly. And then I turned back to normal, and then I saw myself age again. This time, like as a wizened old king. You know, I got some care lines on my face. My hair turned white, but I looked like an old man that had lived a good life. I really feel like it was acid kind of playing into my own natural fears. You know, the fears that everybody has at some point of getting older. You know, shorter of breath and one day closer to death and all that. Cool visual though. Other memorable visuals that I've had on acid. There was one time I was tripping on acid in TJ's old bedroom, which used to be in a fucking basement, and I was staring at Marilyn Manson. He had a portrait of Marilyn Manson up on his wall, and Manson was like, his mouth wouldn't stop moving. It was a picture, you know, it's like a still picture of Manson, but I'm sitting across the room from it and I'm staring at it, and he's like, I'm just like, whoa. Over the course of the night, I kept coming back to that portrait of Manson, and sometimes he would change a little bit, like it'd be a different person there sometimes. It was pretty crazy. Not scary though, just interesting. A lot of things in TJ's room were vibrating at that level on that particular trip. That trip had very kind of like ominous vibrations, but in a good way. It's what a lot of people like probably would have called a bad trip. But for me, you know, like once again, having a head full of acid and having done it before, you know what to expect. And so for me, it was just awesome. I just kicked back and was like, whoa. I don't really keep a journal, no. This is probably the closest thing to a journal that I keep, honestly. Somebody brought it up the other day. I'm like, you know, when you're doing Highdeologies once a day, it's almost like a little video journal for you. What's on your mind gets displayed to the world, and kind of what's going on in your day gets talked about sometimes. It's like a little memoir almost. I'm like, whoa. I didn't think about that. But it is kind of true. I mean, you could really watch Highdeologies, and you know, the only thing that kind of breaks it up is I have these periods of time where I just don't do these. And a lot of those periods of time are when I'm really, really at my lowest, and I'm really working hard just to do what I got to do to make myself get in front of people for the show. You know what I mean? I'm at a real low point. And there are sometimes where I just get tired of doing them and let it refresh for a month or two. But if you really go back and look at these over the last 5 years that I've done them or so, you see a lot of different things happen to Paul. You know, you can see a lot of different emotions coming out of Paul, and you can really, if you know me and you've watched me, kind of track my emotional state and imagine a little bit pretty easily where I was mentally at those times. I'm sharing a lot, you know. I don't give everything to you guys, but there's a little window here. You know, I think it's only really an exercise that would be interesting to a fellow empath, like somebody that's got that empathetic ability to connect with people via their body language and their tone of voice and stuff. It's not a superpower. It's just some of us are tuned that way. I'm tuned that way, and so you know. It would be an interesting exercise for me if I knew somebody like myself. Maybe it'd be interesting to go back and do it for myself and like look at these and see what I stand by and what I don't, see if I've changed, see how my mood and demeanor and presentation has changed over the years. It's really not something I look at all that often. Really, when I do look at it, I get this really strange look back in time because somebody posts some old video of mine that I forgot about, you know. Paul, the other day you recommended Peter Jackson's Brain Dead. Got any more movies in the same vein? Well, in that vein of kind of like comedy horror with a zombie twist, if you haven't seen Return of the Living Dead or Return of the Living Dead 2 or Return of the Living Dead 3, I would recommend all three of those movies. If you've seen all of those, I mean, I gotta be honest with you, there's not a lot of movies that are in that fucking same vein. Dead Alive or Brain Dead, yes. I always really like you, Paul. You really are the salt of the earth. That's right. Evil Dead, sure. Okay, fair enough. That's a good point. If you haven't seen Evil Dead 1 or 2 or Army of Darkness, there you go. Last time I did it, I kept forgetting I was tripping and it got scary quick. Yeah, that doesn't happen to me. I liked The Walking Dead for like a season and a half, I think. And then I just was like, okay, I'm done. I liked The Walking Dead for that first season that I watched, season 1, because it was like really like a scramble for survival. Felt like a good zombie movie, you know. But then after it like started to become about like the different politics between people in season 2, I hit eject at some point in season 2. I can't remember exactly when it was, but I just remember going like, and I'm done. Got a favorite Bill Hicks bit? The one that always stuck in my mind was the bit that he would do from time to time asking if anybody in the audience was in marketing. He would say, just out of curiosity, anybody in the audience in marketing? You know, a few hands would always go up, and he'd go, yeah. I see a few of you out there. All right, cool. Could you do us a favor? You know, and this is me paraphrasing, of course. Could you fucking kill yourselves? And everybody would kind of nervously laugh, and he'd be like, no, that's not a joke. I mean it. You're ruining the fucking planet. He'd go on a fucking one of his Bill tirades about how marketing people are ruining the fucking planet and how they should kill themselves, and then he'd land with a nice little soft landing out of the joke. That, you know, in a sea of great bits, that's always been my personal favorite of Bill's. Yeah, the righteous indignation market, exactly. Yeah. I love Bill Hicks, man. I really do think that his voice would be so important nowadays. And he just like one of those singular dudes. Same thing with Carlin, man. Carlin he got snatched from us right before we really started to need him again, you know? I mean, we always needed him. We always need the truth tellers, and we always need the people that make us squirm a little in our seat. Make us a little uncomfortable because we know that they're talking about us as they're fucking on people up there. But man, I just really feel like this generation got robbed of a couple of really amazing voices, and I don't know if there's anybody filling those shoes, man. In fact, I'm pretty sure there's not. And fuck, do we need that right now, man. I got to tell you guys, if I had the fucking talent, I'd be out there trying it. I'd be out there trying to fill them shoes. But man, I know better. Those two guys had a singular love of that art form, and I just don't share it. I don't really care about stand-up comedy. It's not how I like to do things, and I've never really been interested in trying it. I've done a little bit of it, honestly, at our meetups and shit. Told these kind of live stories, and I enjoyed it, but I didn't feel like it was stand-up. No, dude, I don't think I'm that talented. Like, you got to know where you're at, dude. I got away with words. I can be funny sometimes. I'm a talented guy. I'm not gonna sell myself short and say I'm a hack or some shit. But I don't have anything like the shine that those fucking guys had. You take either of those two guys, even at like the worst in their career, and I didn't have that thing. You know what I mean? They just. both of them were so formative on the way that I present myself to people that it's hard for me to talk about them in glowing enough terms. But when I was a kid, I was in dire need of somebody that didn't speak like they were bullshitting to me. And I found that in Bill Hicks, and I found that in George Carlin, and I found that in a number of other, comedians in other ways. I found that in stand-up, really. But those two guys were like the fucking cream of the crop to me. And really, if anything, convinced me to be more outspoken myself. Not as artfully as they could, because I can't do that shit, but I don't know how anybody listens to and internalizes enough fucking Carlin or Hicks and then goes forward looking for somebody to tell them how to feel about something. It's just like that's all I took from those two fucking guys. Not to minimize it, because that's an amazing thing, but to go forward, at least operatively, trusting your own fucking instincts and not looking to somebody else to fill your head with what the truth is. That think for yourself shit, the constant pointing out of the lemming-like nature of the general public. Both of these guys were heavy into that. And man, that fucking hit me like a gong when I was a kid. Dane Cook, yeah. Dane Cook had one funny joke. And I kind of remember what it was, too. I remember, like, my friends came and they tried to play me this Dane Cook album and shit. And I wasn't feeling it, man. But everybody was listening to it. And Dane Cook had one joke where he was, no, not the Battle Monkey. That one's even not that great. I remember which one you're talking about, kind of. But the one that I remember that actually got a genuine fucking laugh out of me is really a silly one. He talks about, have you ever seen those people that have that one yellow tooth? Like the rest... Oh, no, I put Dinor inside. Yeah, no, I put him inside. He said, you ever see those people that, like, otherwise their smile is fine, but they got that one yellow tooth, like a piece of corn, sitting in their mouth, just hanging there, like, don't brush me. I remember the first time I heard him do that bit, I was like, yeah, dude, because people do. That is true. Every once in a while, you run across a person that's got that one yellow tooth. And that was basically it. That's it for me.
My mom had that, but it was because her tooth was dead.
Well, that's what I'm saying, is like, I was just talking about Dane Cook's only funny joke. The only time I ever laughed at a Dane Cook joke was like, he made that observation, is like, what's up with people that have that one yellow tooth? Like a piece of corn. That's it. And I giggled at it. And I know why people get the tooth that's discolored. Sometimes it's pushed back farther from their other teeth and it gets discolored because of that. Sometimes the tooth is dead at the root. Sometimes it's just fucked up. But, that observation was funny.
My mom's got knocked out, and then her mom shoved it back into her face, and then it stayed there for 20 years.
That's fucking insane.
Didn't go to a doctor, just shoved it back in there.
Just crammed it back in there. And it stayed there forever. For 20 years. She
eventually had to get it replaced.
But 20 years. That lasted another 20 years.
Yeah.
Man. People back in the old days were fucking crazy. Can you imagine that shit? Oh, your tooth fell out, sweetie. Just come here. No, just shut up. It'll be fine. You say cartoon logic, but I'm telling you, man, if it stayed in her mouth for 20 years... That's what I call a fucking patch fix right there.
Yeah.
You can do that with a baby. Well, that sounds like about what happened here. Back in my day.
Let's see, it was probably in the 70s, if I had to guess.
What
happened to my mom?
In the 70s? Yeah, I don't know. It's pretty fucking crazy, but I believe it. People are fucking insane. What do you want? Nowadays, you can't even leave a baby in a hot car for a few hours without the damn thing dying. We gotten so soft. I know. Wait a minute. Don't. Whatever you do, don't edit this Highdeology and add a picture of a baby sweltering to death in a car, okay? That was an edgy joke that I read out that doesn't need visual accompaniment. I feel like I should start spreading this out to people. The joke is okay when it's said wryly and in context, but like when you add the visual accompaniment, whoopsie daisies.
You must have had a long day today, Peyton. You're only just now leaving.
Dude, I overheard something, dude. I overheard Peyton getting dressed straight the fuck down today.
Oh, yeah?
Yes.
Was
Dude.
it about the chicken?
I don't know. Yeah. Did TJ post about the chicken or did Peyton post about the chicken?
I don't know who did, but...
Dude. We were about to start filming or we're in a meeting about something and TJ pulled his headphones off and we heard him go like... He was like... What did you do that for? I got that chicken to be made fresh. Remove it from the freezer. And I was like, Peyton?
I thought you were talking about the other chicken.
No. No, this was meat. I don't even know what kind of meat. That was Chelsea.
Don't blame her.
He told me that Chelsea told you to do it, but here's the thing, Peyton. Here's what I told him when he told me that. He told me, well, no, Chelsea told him to put it in the freezer. And I was like, he should have anticipated to disobey that order because his job is to be your squire. That would be like a knight's wife coming out and going like, saddle my husband's horse backwards and put dog shit in his boots tomorrow morning. And you followed it and went like, obity-do. Yeah, you did it last week, Peyton, and you should have anticipated that TJ wanted to use that meat fresh. Fresh. No, I'm kidding. I'm just joking with you, Peyton. We just razzed TJ about it before the show today because it was funny. Did wrong. You ask a knight's wife how to saddle his horse? I didn't say you were his maid. I said you were his squire, Peyton. His squire. I was the first to call TJ a squire. And since then, he's gone and gotten a squire of his own. Hello, Mr. Naughty Priest. A fellow knight of the round. No. Peyton has moved beyond a page boy. No man that carries a beard as bushy and full as that can be called rightfully a page boy, although the next time I do see Peyton, I'm giving that beard a jolly good tug. And let's just say I shan't be surprised if it should come off in my hands like so much theater makeup. But if indeed that is a real beard, then he must be a squire, not a page boy. Page boy's face is naked. It's as real as can be. I'll see that for myself, sir. That beard appeared from nowhere, Peyton. When first I met you, your face looked like the last baby's ass that I wiped, changing a diaper, Peyton. It was so hairless and fresh. And now you show me this picture of you looking like grisly items. Looking like you've had a beard for every day as long as I have, Peyton, and I do not buy it for 1 second. TJ may think that your spirit gum and cat hair solution is good looking enough to pass, but I do not. I will rub that smudge from your upper lip, Peyton, the next time I see you. Surely that beard must be fake. I think TJ's beard is fake, too. Any beard that rivals mine in length
That is
or
younger than
beardlitude,
yours.
it's fake.
Yeah. You have a fucking, 10-year long beard or something?
Mm-hmm. 10 years worth of beard. And genetically, I get fucked. I can't get the fucking goddamn Nietzsche mustache. I can't, you know what I mean? I don't have the long, straight wizard beard. I've got the big, poofy Viking beard.
Is that indica in there?
No, this is not. But if you want to get...
I mean, do you think that would help anyways, or?
It's sativa. I mean, you can try it, but indica's probably going to help more for,
Okay.
like, muscle relaxation and shit. So grab me one of the... Actually, you know what? I think I got hybrids this time. So here's what. Grab the just the pipe and the fucking.
Okay.
It's all on my desk, I think, and I'll pack you a bowl. Amelia's got the stiff neck going on, which I can relate. You ever get that neck where it's like you feel like you can't even turn your head? It's so stiff. Like that's about your range of motion right there. You're like ah. Speaking of drugs, Paul, I know this photographer by the name of Dean Carr. He's well known for putting filters on the lens to make pictures he takes more distorted or more vintage-like. That's neat. Yeah, you're like Adam West in the old Batman. You have to turn like this, dude. What? What was that? You're like RoboCop. Dude, I just got that. Like, I don't know if you just got here, but I just got done talking about my comedic influences. I literally just got done talking for like 10 minutes straight about my comedic influences. So, the ones that I didn't mention back then would probably, like, the most notable one that I didn't mention back then would be my mother and my father, both of which have very distinct senses of humor that I feel like I took a lot from. Like, my dad has got a really great dry delivery, and he was the first person that I learned delivery from. Like, he knows how to, like, punctuate a story really well, and knows how to use tone of voice to affect that. My mom, I got the whole detail-oriented joke part of it, because when she's tickled by something, my mom will tell you a story that's like 20 minutes long to get to the punchline. And I took a little bit of that, a little bit of my dad's shit, and I melded it together, and that's what I do. A little bit of Carlin, a little bit of Hicks, mostly just my parents. And my Uncle Jimmy, to be honest with you. He was funny as fuck as well. I actually was really lucky. I grew up around a lot of funny fucks, now that I think about it. A lot of my parents' friends were really, like, just naturally kind of funny folk. And so I grew up around a lot of ha-has and yucks. Haven't heard much of Uncle Jimmy. He doesn't come up all that often. He wasn't around a whole lot when I was a kid. I mean, I knew him really well. He was around enough that I always knew who he was, but you know, he wasn't like the biggest presence in my life. But he was a good friend of my mom's. He wasn't really my uncle, but that was I don't know if that's weird for people's families, but like that was in my family. When my parents had close friends or whatever, they were always like aunt this or uncle that. You know what I mean? Only their close friends and shit. But people that we saw a lot. And Uncle Jimmy, like I said, he wasn't around all the time, but I saw him often enough over the course of my childhood that I knew who he was. And he's just a funny fucking dude, man. He had the best laugh. You could not... He was one of those dudes that would bust out laughing at his own shit. And even if the shit that he said wasn't that funny, his reaction to it was fucking hilarious. You could not laugh at Uncle Jimmy. He knew exactly when to laugh at his own shit. He was great. He's dead now. Unfortunately, a lot of the people, and there weren't much older than my mom. A lot of those people are gone now. A lot of real funny people. Yeah. Uncle Jimmy, I used to be kind of terrified of him when I was a kid, to be honest with you, because he did this thing. You guys have heard of a noogie? Where they get you in a headlock and they like give you a noogie? Well, he didn't call it a noogie. He called it scobbing your nobbin. And he would catch me. I'd see him, like he'd walk in and I'd be like, oh, it's Uncle Jimmy. Because I knew he was going to fucking gaffle me up at some point, and he was merciless with it too. Like he didn't just do it a couple of times like in a good-natured way. He would catch me when I wasn't fucking looking. When I was talking to some other adult, he'd come up behind me and give them this. He'd go. And that other adult would see him and not say anything to me. And then he would fucking wrap me up in a headlock and go, and I'd go like, ah! And he'd be like, all right, stop. Quit crying about it. You know, I never cried, but he'd be like, quit whining about it. Just scobbing your nobbin. Get out of here. You got to toughen up. It's like, whoa. Scobbing my fucking nobbin, dude. So back when I was like, especially when I was younger, but he stopped doing that when I was a teenager. And he was always funny. He only did that once. It wasn't like he constantly tortured me with it. It was just the you know. I guess it was his version of like the ant that pinches your cheeks.
Yeah.
You know, that always has to go, oh, you're just so fucking... This is Uncle Jimmy's version of that. Maybe he was saying noggin, but that's how I remember it. I remember him saying scobbin' your nobbin. He was probably saying noggin. You're probably right, but what the fuck, dude? I was probably 8 the last time he did it to me, or 9 or 10, so, you know. Paul, was a vampire story true? Just curious. It's my favorite story of yours way back. Yes. I don't tell stories that don't have an element of truth. So I've never out and out just like made up a story and told you guys an out and out fiction lie that never happened in any capacity. I will tell you that like some of my stories get dressed up with details. I fill in the gaps in my memory with things, and I highlight jokes and funny moments sometimes, but I never, like every one of the stories that I've ever told you guys has a basis in reality. Okay, sorry. I was just dusting the last look because I knew that there was just one last little fucking bit at the bottom of this, and then I'm gonna pack you a nice fresh one here.
It's okay. You don't have to apologize.
Sorry. Just didn't mean to keep you waiting. No, I'm slow at this. That's a stoner thing. Mm-hmm. Sitting around waiting for another stoner to finish rolling a J is one of the most agonizing things in the world that you can ever experience. All right.
You're getting to it.
All right, here you go. Let's take a little toot on that. Let's start with a little one and then. See that detail, the dude with the fucking long ass fingernails and shit, that's not something that I would just put in the story for no reason. It really adds nothing other than the fact that it fucking happened, and it adds to the creepiness. It's one of the most memorable things about that night to me, because that guy really was like my touchstone, because he was a nerd. He was sitting there on a laptop, which at the time wasn't super common for people to have. So I thought it was cool that he even had a laptop. And he was typing away on it. We're talking, and he was a totally normal, down-to-earth guy. And maybe he was even with the fucking fingernails, but I've never seen anybody with their fingernails grown out that long before. And he on one hand, and he had this one hand that he brought up out, and all these long-ass fingernails, and it just added, you know, to the fucking I'm out of my element kind of ambiance of that night for me.
You know any guys that like had like just the pinky nail and nothing else?
I mean, some dudes would do that, but not really. That style was not all that popular when I was a kid. So yeah, I mean, like that was like a coke nail, basically.
I mean, my stepdad has it, but it's to like clean his ears.
Oh, there you go. That works. Yeah, I mean, those things were way more popular back in like the 70s and 60s and shit. But no. Were you drunk? But yeah, by this time I was drunk. Well, I'd started to get drunk. I'll tell the story again for those of you that haven't heard it. Somebody said, please tell it again. So I'll give you the fucking abridged version. I went to a party once where I was invited by a friend of mine who had these other groups of friends that he would talk about sometimes. And I was young and impressionable, and I felt very honored to be invited to this party that I knew was going to be populated by, like older college kids and shit. And it just seemed like a really cool, and plus the venue of it was supposed to be really cool, this mansion style place. There was also a chick that was supposed to be there that I really wanted to bag, to put it in the parlance of the times. And so I thought, hey, this would be a great opportunity for that. And I really thought it was just going to be a get-together. People were partying. And that's really what it was when I showed up. I showed up, and on the way in, my friend, Kevin, who I talked about the other day, the guy who unfortunately killed himself years later, but he was sitting out in front on a rock smoking a joint. And when he saw me walking up, he looked at me and he saw me, and he just started shaking his head. And I was like, hey, what's up, Kev? How's it going, bro? And he just shook his head at me and just kept hitting the joint. And I sat down next to him, and he passed the joint to me and exhaled his puff, and he was like, fucking Paul, don't go in there, bro. I was like, don't go in there? It's like, what are you talking about? Don't go in there. He's like, trust me, dude, just don't even go in there. I was like, what's going on? What's wrong? Is it fucked up or what? He was like, you don't even want to go in there, dude. And I was like, well,
now I'm going in there.
Yeah, exactly. That's basically what I told him. I was like, look, man, I'll jet if it's weird, but I'm going to go in there. And he was like, I knew you were going to go in there, but whatever. And I just kind of I was like, well, man, stay up. I handed him back the joint, and it was like, thanks for the puff, Hope you okay to get home? He's like, yeah, I'm going home. I was like, okay, cool. So I just went in. You have to understand, I would probably be way more mindful of something like that at the age I'm at now.
Yeah.
Somebody I really trusted was sitting out in front of a fucking place and was like, dude, that's a bad scene in there. You don't want to go in there. I'd probably be like, all right. Maybe it's because of this. I don't necessarily it was a bad scene, but anyway. So I go on in, and the party's pretty fucking normal. I go and and people are really nice. Not everybody says hi to me or whatever, but I kind of wandered around the party a little bit and saw my friend who I was supposed to meet there, but that was pretty much the last time I saw him that night. Well, maybe not the last time, but anyway. He kind of went off and did his own thing. I ended up sitting at this little bar in this mansion. It had this really big open living room with a big fireplace. And there was couches all around it, and there were people sitting on the couches. There was a dude playing guitar and people listening to him sing. And the vibe was chill as fuck, And there was this bar, and the bartender was this really super muscular fit, not bodybuilder level, but really toned fit black chick.
Like Lil Tyler kind of fit.
Kinda, I guess. Yeah, she was just real. She was just cut. You know what I mean? You could tell she worked out and was athletic. And I sat down, and she took an immediate interest in me. She was like, "Oh my gosh!" She's like, "I don't believe we met. What's your name?" And I said, I told her, I said, "Oh, my name's Paul. I'm here with so and so." And she said, "Oh, that's cool. That's cool." She actually introduced me.
Yeah.
In the room, she goes, "Guys, this is Paul. Everybody say hi." And not everybody did, but the people at the party were like, "Hey, everybody's cool." She's like, "What can I get you?" And I was like, "I don't know." I was like, "You're actually tending bar? I've never been to a party where there's a bartender before." She's like, "Really?" I said, "Why don't you choose me something?" She goes, "I'm gonna make you a mudslide." So I was like, "Cool." So she made me a mudslide, and it was really good. Blended it all up, and it was real creamy and nice, and it packed with alcohol. Got me buzzing right away, and I got to the bottom of that. I was feeling pretty good, pretty buzzed up, and she said, "You want another one?" I said, "You know what? I might come back and get another one." But no, maybe I did have another one. I can't remember. I had one or two drinks sitting there. I was good and buzzed, and I was like, "I'm gonna go sit out on the back porch and have a cigarette and get some fresh air." So, all right. So I went on the back porch, and that's where I met that dude I was talking about. He's like an Asian guy with longer hair. He was sitting at the table, and he had a laptop in front of him, and I was like, "Hey, you mind if I sit and smoke?" And he's like, "No, man, come on." And we sat down and we ended up talking, and I don't remember what about really, just kind of like yakking it up. And then as he's talking to me, all of a sudden, we've been talking for like 10, 15 minutes, and he pulls that hand up, and he's got these fingernails. And he just like kind of like lays it on the table, and he keeps talking to me, and I'm like, trying not to look at it. But it added a whole thing. Because in my mind, it was like, it triggered something in my mind. And so anyway, when I'd come out there had been people that were like there was a big pool and a hot tub, and there were people that were in it. And it was like that, the fingernail thing set everything in motion. He put that on the table and kept talking like nothing happened. And I just was polite about it. I was like, whoa, what the fuck is up with your hand, bro? He kept talking for a while. And then I looked over in that fucking hot tub, and all the people in it were dead ass naked. And fucking, some of them were fucking. There were people outside of the thing fucking. There were people in the hot tub fucking. And you got to remind, like, no, I wasn't 25 or some shit, or 22. Yeah. I was a fucking 16-year-old. I'm sitting there like. So I was like, whoa, okay, all right, I'm going to go back inside. Well, I'd probably been out there with that dude for about an hour. And in that time, all those people that were just sitting around listening to guitar, I guess the party had started. Because when I walked back in, a lot of those people were gone, and there were two dudes chained to the fireplace, like ass naked, but there was like a rod atop the fireplace hearth, and they were like with leather straps like this. And there was a chick who I didn't recognize at first, just like whipping their asses. And they were like, oh, they were clearly like into it, but it was still hurting and shit. And the chick was dressed in kind of like what I now recognize as like traditional Dom garb. Yeah. With the black leather thigh-high boots and the bustier and the whole nine. But it was one of those bustiers with the titties out. Yeah. Because I remember I walked in behind that, and she must have heard me come in the door. And I was like gawking at it. And then when she turned around, it was fucking Buffy. It was the bartender. Who had been so fucking sweet to me, so fucking nice to me. And she turned around, and all of that kindness was gone from her eyes. And she turned around, and she was like, the fuck are you looking at? And I was like, and she goes, you want to be up here with them? I'll put your fucking little ass up here with them. Come on. And I was like, no, it's cool. And I went into the other room. This front room had a little couch in it. It was like a receiving room in this mansion. And I sat down on that couch, and I was like, oh my God. All right, what do I do here? What's going on here? Because I'd never heard of anything like this. Small town kid and everything. Nobody told me that BDSM, whatever they call, get-togethers happened. I knew what BDSM was. Like, I'd heard, people, but like the idea that there was a party that would just turn into one was just... I forget
what they're called.
Munch, right?
Munch, yeah.
I walked into a munch and didn't know what the fuck was going on. So anyway, I ended up having to go to the bathroom. I was drunk. You got to remember, I fucking chugged down. Did it cross your mind to join in? I got to be honest with you, dude. If it had, I'd tell you. And if I was a less honest storyteller, I'd probably go like, and then I fucked a bunch, and it would be a way less fucking interesting story, because I was really put off by it, because I just didn't understand it. I didn't know that was the auspices of the party. The dude that I went with never prepared me for it. He was gone. And what I found out later was a lot of people had just moved to other rooms in this mansion and were fucking in different scenes or whatever, different BDSM stuff. So anyway, I went to the bathroom, sat down on the toilet, and it was only at that point that I heard something going on in the shower. And then whoever, the two guys that were in the shower overheard me and opened it up. And there were just two dudes in there and they were like, you want to? And I was like, whoa, no, it's cool. Sorry, I didn't know there were people in here. And I left. As I left the bathroom, I heard the voice of that chick that I came to see coming from down the hall. And so I walked down the hall, and I kept hearing her like giggling and shit. And I heard the room that it was coming out of, and I opened it up, and it was like a David Cronenberg movie. there was a blanket thrown over what must have been like 4 or 5 people, and she was in there somewhere, and there were feet and titties, and just it was like a big old orgy happening in there, and I was like, oh my. And that was it. Like at that point, I was like, I gotta go. There's no, I have to leave. I don't know what it was, because as a teenage boy, I'd fantasized about shit like this.
Yeah.
But being confronted with it in that way and not being prepared, and still being a virgin at that time, I was just like, I gotta go.
I wonder what your friend picked up on since it hadn't started yet.
I'm pretty sure he probably wandered into a room where somebody had already started, or maybe he had been confronted or asked to do something by somebody, and I just dodged that, because I ended up hopping from one person to the next, and I don't know what it was. I never talked to Kevin about it after that. He never brought it up with me. I didn't even tell that story until years and years after it happened, because I was afraid I was going to get people in trouble or whatever. Like my friend, I didn't want, it felt like it was a secret that I wasn't supposed to be let in on, so I tried to keep it that way. And, it was years and years till I even really talked to anybody about that story going down. But that's it. Yeah, that's basically it. I was still drunk. I shouldn't have driven. In my defense, I got in my car and I drove down the street a little ways and found like a quiet, dark place to pull my car over, and I rested for about 45 minutes and got my head together. So I didn't go like full blown drunk, but I still was not sober as I should have been. But I don't know, dude.
16.
Yeah, and I couldn't call my mom out to that shit.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? My mom had always told me, hey, if you're ever out and you're drunk and you're going to drive, call me. And that's that's one of 2 times I ever drove drunk in my life. And, I'm lucky that neither one of them ended tragically, but that's that. Yeah, that's that story. That's a fun one. How old was the chick you came to see? So I was at 16, I probably would have been like a sophomore going into a junior in high school. She was a senior when I was a freshman. So what's the age difference there? 4 years, right?
Yeah. So she'd be
So she would have been 19, 20, yeah. Something like that. How much do I bench press? Infinity pounds, dude.
I'll tell you what I do. The bar is too heavy for me.
Mm-hmm.
Just the bar with no weights on it's too heavy.
Me too. Shit, man, watching you smoke got me fiending. Fuck it. I'm going to refill my drink and get the cob rolling. There you go. That's what you got to do. You got any old radio stories? Radio? What do you mean? Radio stories? Like stories that...
You mean the CB radio?
Oh, yeah, the CB story. I don't think any that I haven't told you guys relatively recently. This came up again recently in a Highdeology, and I just don't feel like repeating myself. But I can't think of any ones that I haven't. Dude, somebody's partying. We're hearing a weird echo of it.
Yeah.
It's Hispanic. It's like a corrido.
Yeah, I think I heard them the other day,
Yeah.
too. Like when I went over there.
Yeah. I wish I could hear more than the trombone. All we're getting is the... Because that's the one that's got the timbre to reach us. Go to the party? I could, probably. I don't want to get the coves, though.
Yeah. You're lighted again, huh?
No, it probably hasn't gone out if you open it. Here. Do you still get pilonidal cysts? Very curious, as I might have one. I have not. I've been lucky enough since my surgery that I've not had like a major flare-up of it, but it's still there. Let's put it that way. But it just hasn't bothered me, and it hasn't gotten infected ever again. Thank you, Andrew Alt, for the $10. I appreciate that, man. I live down the street from a mariachi band. They're partying almost every night in their touring bus. That's pretty dope. Dude, I love mariachi music and corridos. I would like it better if I could understand everything that was being said. I can only understand every 4th or 5th word. But
You just gotta learn the whole song.
dude, it's fun to party to, man. growing up where I grew up, it was very common there. And dude, like if that's playing at a party, the more beers you get in you, the better it fucking gets. It's that's good music in my mind, dude. That's good party music. Hey, my Aunt April loves you. Give her a shout out, man. Keep up the great work. Your Aunt April? You have an aunt that watches me? And her name is April? Cool. Well, all right. Shout outs to your Aunt April. Aunt April. Is it aunt or aunt? I think it's both, right?
Yeah.
It's okay to say both.
Yeah.
Which one should I say, though? Which one sounds better?
Aunt is fine. I think.
Aunt.
I've never been a big aunt.
Aunt. Your Auntie April. April has always been it's been a cool name. I had a crush on a girl named April in grade school, like in like the 3rd grade. One of the girls that I had a crush on's name was April. I'm trying to remember if I've known any other Aprils. I did. In high school there was an April. She was an exchange student, not an exchange student. She came like sophomore year. She was new to school. And
Like
no, it wasn't April, it was an Amy. Wrong chick. I love them, dude. I love them out there, dude. They're having such a fucking blast. It's Friday night. They're blowing off some steam. Has a girl ever rejected you publicly and embarrassed you in front of a group of people? No, but I'm not the.
You don't approach people in public like that.
Yeah. I've never I've had probably like what I would call 4 long-term actual relationships in my life. And none of them started by me walking up to somebody in a bar and going like, "Hey, baby, nice fucking ass," So I've never really been turned down in a bar before, or in public like that. That's not how I spit my game. That's never been how I spit my game. So, no. Never been embarrassed publicly, but I don't even think I would be embarrassed if I did try and spit game, but that's just not how I go. Yeah, ask one more time, then drop it. Finally got to play Monster Hunter World. 2 questions. What do you main and what system do you play on? I play on the PC. And it depends. Like, I'm probably, most comfortable with the Lance. Not the gun Lance, but the regular Lance. And then my alt is Hunting Horn. I'm not great with Hunting Horn, but I'm better than, somebody who's never done it before. And I love Hunting Horn. But I'm way better with Lance. I'm way more comfortable with Lance's moveset and stuff. How much RAM do I have? I don't really know, honestly. I have a lot of RAM.
You have a lot of different things.
What?
You have, different memories or whatever.
Well, no, I have a video card that's nowhere near new now. It's not a bad card, but it's enough to run Monster Hunter World just fine. And then I got I don't remember how much fucking RAM I have, to be honest with you. Do you ever go to a rave when you were younger? Yes. I went to a couple of raves when I was a kid. I never really got all fucked up. Like, this idea that everybody at a rave was getting fucked up is kind of like a misnomer. There were a lot of people there that were getting fucked up. I never went to a rave and got super duper fucked up. I might have done a little pre-drinking or whatever. But I went to what we used to call warehouse raves, where I'm not even sure if they were sanctioned. Somebody was able to throw a party in an industrial area. Both times I went to them, they were in Fresno in big warehouses. DJ set up, parking out back, kind of all over the fucking place. And they were cool, but I was never really into techno all that much when I was a kid, and I wasn't about to be taking drugs that were being passed around in a place like that, coming from people I didn't know. So I've always had a hard and fast line about trusting the people that I get my drugs from, and knowing what I'm putting in my body and shit. I've always tried to be careful about that, and I've always been a person that was never turned on by what we called back in the day ecstasy. It's now Molly or MDMA. Ecstasy was a little different because it was cut, I believe, with methamphetamine. And MDMA is just the pure shit and ecstasy that made you feel good. So, but I always avoided it as a kid because I'd seen people on it and I just didn't want to, that was not my trip. So, but I enjoyed going to them. They were fun to see. I could get into like the heavy beating, pounding drums, and, you know, I could jump around with people for a while and get into it.
I think I'm tolerating it way better.
Yeah.
Yeah, have you heard me cough yet?
Nope. Straight Molly never did anything for me. It's possible I was getting ripped off, though. Yeah, possible. And probable, I would say. Accidentally wandered into a nudist island beach while exploring a tiny hippie island. More bizarre experience. Yeah. No, I get that. I mean, like, look, if you're prepped for it, I think, like I said, if that shit had happened to me in college age or, you know, later in my life, it might have ended differently. I might have found a little fucking way to jump in on some of that shit and try out some of that shit. But at 16, as a kid that, you know, only knew about sex in theory, really, and, you know, being faced with that, I don't know, it just wasn't something I don't know why I reacted the way I did, because my brain is not still there, but did you mean to hide that? Oh, no, I didn't mean to hide it. Did I accidentally hide a dude's comment? Yeah, you can unhide it if I did that, mods. My bad. Yeah, you can unhide the dude. My bad. Yeah, I clicked on his
I
comment.
don't see anything that wasn't done by Phoebe, but maybe it's just not loading.
Darius M. Yeah, there it is. That guy, I guess. Yeah, that's cool. Thanks. We can't unhide the message, but he's not banned. Okay, that's good.
Sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, that was my bad, dude. That was like literally just like an auto ban. My finger slipped as I was trying to fucking swipe up, and he got nuked somehow. That was my bad. Yeah, no, he didn't do anything. How do you unhide? I tried to unhide an accidental one in DFF a few streams back. I don't think you can unhide the comment, but you can unhide the person, so they're not banned. Because it doesn't even really call a ban here. It's hide this person's comments. Yeah, so unfortunately, if you slip up and do it, the comment is gone. But you can make sure you unhide the person by clicking on them again.
I'm pretty sure Cricket's like timed someone out before, like going on my phone.
Yeah, probably so. It happens. That's why you do, you know, I do my regular but unannounced ban clear lists and shit because, you know, whatever. It's never my intention to fucking ban people for forever. Just that night when they're feeling a little too spammy or a little too stupid to participate or whatever, a little too trolly. Man, I really want to go see what's going on at that fucking party, man. There's a part of me that I know we could just walk right over there and start grooving to the music and we'd have hella good food, if not for COVID. And it'd be a good-ass time, too. We could have some beers, go pick up some beers so we don't get chased out of the party for being leeches, you know? You bring your own beer.
You want one?
No. The music's not close enough to make me want one tonight. No, I'm okay. I want to travel south this year. I want to travel south this year.
How south?
That's he's throwing a lyric at me. He snuck a lyric on me. And I'm trying to remember. It's I Stay Away. That's the name of the song. Well, I'm a 90s kid, so you know I'm going to catch that. Yes, I liked MF Doom. Yes, I'm sad that he died. I found out the day that they announced it live on the show. So if you know the date he died, you can go back and watch the or the date it was announced that he died. You can go back and watch the Highdeology that happened that day and see my reaction to it. But everybody keeps asking me about Doom, and I've already answered it. It sucks that he's dead. I not so much Earl Sweatshirt. I love Vince Staples though. I keep waiting for Vince Staples to drop a new album or some shit. But Vince Staples has got that West Coast gangster kind of sound. He somehow preserved that and still makes modern sounding shit. And I love his flow and shit. So I'm a big Vince Staples evangelist. But bitch, you thirsty? Please grab a Sprite. Yeah. I mean, how do you not like Vince? Earl Sweatshirt, I don't hate, but just not my type of shit. Code of the Friend. All right, I'll check them out. Always looking for new rappers. Bitch, you thirsty? Please grab a Sprite. My crib's lurking, you die tonight. I just wanna dance with you, baby. Just don't come too loud or too crazy. I didn't like B.Ya when you recommended it, but it stuck with me. I didn't like it the first time I heard it either. I saw this Mario Judah guy. I found him because he was trolling on fucking Twitter. And somehow, I think Anthony Fantano retweeted something that he was doing. He was trolling Playboy Cardi. And that's how he got popular. He rode this hashtag that was popular because Playboy Cardi was about to drop an album. And he dropped that song in conjunction with it, claiming that he was going to leak it like it was a Playboy Cardi song. But he released his own song. And I heard it that day. I listened to the whole thing the first time through, which is, you know, rare for a song. But at the end of it, I was just like, man, what the fuck was that?
No, I think you pulled me in to watch it too.
Well, that was days later.
Yeah.
Because what happened was the same thing that's happening to this person. It was that fucking shit was stuck in my head. And I was just like nodding to it in my head. And I'm just like, catch myself tapping my foot to the beat and like finally went back and watched it like partially again. And then I was like, you know what? I got to get Amelia in on this. Because if I'm bullshitting, then I just need to know. You reacted basically how I reacted. Eventually, you just came to it quicker. You were like, it's different, it's cool, and it's well made and stuff, and like I don't really know. And I was like, yeah, exactly. Same. Like I can't find a flaw with it really, like a real super fault, and it's listenable and it's catchy and it's kind of cool. I guess it's a good song.
Does that happen to you with the Antwerp, Marshall?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's probably what happened with me with the Antwoord, too. I think the first time I heard the Antwoord was probably Evil Boy. And I remember...
That was their big Interscope one. So
yeah.
It was probably pushed more because it was Interscope.
And I watched that video, and I remember liking the video immediately, like because that video was dope. I don't know who was doing their... Was it Roger Ballin that was doing their videos?
Not that, or maybe he had some.
It looked a lot like his style.
Yeah.
But I don't know who was doing their videography and shit, or if they were doing a lot of that.
First, like, Interscope.
Oh my god!
Release, I think.
Visually, it was just like boom, but just like at that time, it sounded like nothing I'd heard ever. It was like a combination of like dance music and this hip hop shit, but in accents I could barely understand, and there were parts of it that stuck with me, but I just really didn't like it at first. But was really drawn back because of the video. And then I watched that video a couple more times. And by the time I watched it probably 3 times, I was like, okay, well, I like this song. And then, from then, I started kind of following the Antwoord. And
Max Normal's cool too, Marshall, for sure.
Max Normal, yeah. Yeah, I'm not as into the Max Normal shit as I am into the DeAntwoord shit. And some of it I like more than others. The more mainstream stuff, the stuff that they've released that's gotten bigger, a lot of that is really, you know, I'm not as big a fan as you. You're a DeAntwoord diehard. And, you know, I like a
Well, I
few.
discovered them at an interesting point in my life. It was like right when I was about to graduate high school.
That is a point in your life where you tend to hold on to the music because it is a fucking roller coaster no matter which way you go. So totally understand that, but I like them a lot. I love the fucking attitude in their music, and I love the weirdness of it. How it doesn't quite sound like anything else, but kind of sounds like other stuff too.
Yeah, Marshall, if you listen to like their latest music video, they do a completely different thing with the beats, like with just traditional instruments.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I like how experimental they are, and I like how free they are to try different shit. I think a lot of people wanted that to happen to me with Death Grips, but I really did genuinely give Death Grips a fucking chance. And it's just like, I'm not here to hate, but I just can't, it's not, I don't vibe with it. And that's cool. That's fine. You know, I used to be the type of person that would like poop on music because I didn't vibe with it. I could hear why people vibe with it. It just doesn't, it hits me the wrong way. I don't like the vibe I get off of it. I don't like listening to it, you know what I mean? But sometimes when I revisit things or give a band a chance, it's like that's how I got into Post Malone too. First time I heard Wyatt Iverson, I vibed with it, but when I'd seen Post Malone before and just never really heard anything, and I was immediately like, wrong, nope, not even gonna fucking try that. And then when I did, I was like, whoa. So I'm trying to be more open-minded these days, you know. I don't have to like everything I listen to, but you know, I'm trying to open my mind to the possibilities of different genres, and I'm trying to listen to different artists and step out of my comfort zone and revisit people that I used to look down on. Like Nicki Minaj is another artist that I used to really fucking dislike back in the day. When she first came out, I didn't get it. And over time, as I've seen her do different kinds of work, I've gone back and listened to her early shit, and I'm like, damn, I was really not on the wavelength of this shit back then. And that's cool. It's cool to go back and give things another chance and listen to it with a fresh set of ears. And I liked Cardi as soon as she dropped. Was it Kodak Yellow? Or I'm trying to remember the name of that fucking song. Bodak Yellow. Or Bodak. Was that what it was? Bodak Yellow, yeah. As soon as that song dropped, I was like, okay, dude, these are red bottoms, these expensive, these are bloody shoes. I was like, all right, yeah, all right. Okay. So I've been with Cardi from pretty early on. You know, that song blew up and she got on my radar, and I was like, okay, I'm into it. Why'd I get timed out for saying the name of Vince Staples' song Paul was rapping? I don't know. North. I wouldn't whine about getting timed out in here. If that's all that happened to you, it's probably good. But yeah, somebody might have misinterpreted it as a nonsense comment. I've really liked a lot of Cardi, but I like her as a person. I've never really liked Cardi, but I like her as a person. Yeah. To each his own. Yeah. It looked like nonsense, but it was actually the name of the song. But yeah, nobody banned you. You're fine. No, dude. Marshall knows, dude. You gotta take it. You gotta roll with the punches. But see, there you go. People are the people have been corrected. The specters have apologized to you. And look, if they're overzealous, it's because of me. It's because of me. I demand so much of them. They're so integral to this chat being readable and usable for these. They must be on their toes. I mean, yeah, I would like people to start looking at getting banned as like a badge of honor when it happens to them. You know, really is an experience everybody should have. You know, man, this is a live ass mariachi affair going on over here, and I wish I could fucking, dude. I'm so sad because I bet there's some fucking delicious ass tacos and carne asada and fucking chili verde and fucking Dios mío, man. Dios mío, señorita. I know, but there's also COVID over there. I don't think I've ever gotten banned, or if I did, I didn't notice. But I guess that means I haven't spewed so much bullshit. Hey, you know, I mean, there's a lot of people that have told me that, like, hey, man, I'm kind of fucking shocked I never did get banned. So this idea that I ban a lot of people is fiction. It's a fiction, okay? These are the lies that the mainstream media tells you to try and sully my name. Look, it's only the terrorists, the miscreants, and the troublemakers that get banned, and even they are forgiven eventually once they've served their sentence. I ripped into you a couple times, Najosa. Oh, I don't remember what over, but you know, like getting ripped into by me is not what predicates a ban, by the way. I've ripped into people that I've demanded not be banned. I mean, you guys remember Piotr? And there was a Serbian dude. Maybe it was the same guy. I think it is the same guy. But, you know, I try and talk to the people that have a genuine gripe or what I see as a misunderstanding with me or whatever. People that get banned is people that are fucking here to be annoying. Yeah, Piotr stopped paying and got the hammer. That's the way it works for him. That's it. That's the way the cookie crumbled for Piotr. Oh, Johnny Bumpins. He didn't have it cranked all the way up tonight, though. Johnny Bumpins had it turned down. I purposely don't say much because I know I can say a lot of stupid shit. I mean, you know, like, stupid shit is okay. That's the thing. I really think that the line in Highdeology is pretty fucking simple. You know, don't post total nonsense. Don't troll. Don't be fucking stupid. Participate. You know? Participate or shut the fuck up. That's probably the easiest way I could explain to people the myriad of unspoken, unwritten rules of Highdeology. It really is just fucking participate or shut the fuck up. If you're not going to participate, keep your fucking mouth shut. And if you want to participate, then hey, let's have a good time together, you and I. Want to argue? Let's argue. You want to fucking talk about something? Let's keep it on topic and talk about it. Just treat it like that. Treat it like a conversation that has flow. Have you ever met a WWE wrestler? I'm trying to think. I don't think so. I actually was privileged enough to see a couple of really older wrestlers, quite a few of them actually, when I was young. My granddad, on my dad's side, was a huge wrestling buff. My dad couldn't give a fuck about it, and I probably wouldn't have got into it at all as a kid. Were it not for my granddad. It was one of the things we bonded over was wrestling. I watched it because he liked it so much, and then I got into it and all the characters, and it was right at this awesome time for wrestling. You know, we're talking about, I would have been probably like 6 years old or something when he started watching wrestling with me when I'd go over visit with him, and that would have been 86. So look at all of the fucking amazing classic wrestlers that were at the top of their game in 1986. You're talking about Hulk Hogan. You're talking about Roddy Piper, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. You're talking about Macho Man Randy Savage. You're talking about the Ultimate Warrior, Jake the Snake Roberts, Brutus the Barber Beefcake. You're talking about like fucking Andre the Giant. You're talking these giants of fucking, yeah, Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man, and his manservant Virgil. You're talking about fucking oh, who was that guy? He kind of like Shawn Michaels before Shawn Michaels. What was he called? He was like this dude that was all into being like all sexy and shit. I'm trying to remember what his name was. Fuck. No, not Lex Luger. There's a dude that he's from that same Jake the Snake Roberts. No, not the Ultimate Warrior. Rick Rude, ravishing Rick Rude, dude. That's the old school right there. Fucking ravishing Rick Rude. I got to see all of these dudes. My favorite wrestler when I was a little boy, and probably still is what I would say is my favorite wrestler today, is a guy named George the Animal Steel. Not a lot of people know about him. He was a great heel back in the day. One of the first guys to take on, in the WWE anyway, in a mainstream way, to take on this like beast concept, where George the Animal Steel's his like whatever, his kayfabe thing was like, he was basically just like a big, dumb, almost like lobotomized idiot that was big and strong and hairy and stinky. And, I fucking loved him. He was great. He had this thing where his tongue was always blue or purple. So he would like stick his tongue out and, he probably just sucked on a piece of candy with a lot of that dye in it or whatever to do it. But that was one of his things. And then his real fucking like signature was he would eat the turnbuckle. He would go to the turnbuckle, he would knock one of the dudes down, and then he would wander over the turnbuckle and like eat it and pull all the stuffing out of it to make it real deadly, and then he'd slam the dude into it. It was like a cheat move, Got a lot of heat, got a lot of boos from the crowd, but I always went, yeah! Glad you liked it, Andrew. Give most of the props to fucking Marshall on that one. He's doing the fucking production start to finish on this shit, so he's putting in the blood and the sweat, and I'm putting in the tears. Mostly just the tears. Oh yeah, whatever, Marshall. I can barely produce a fucking shit in the morning and not mess it up. Whatever happens to Lazy J? I think he's still around, as far as I know. I don't know. I haven't heard from dude in a while, but I think Lazy J still kick it. Ooh, he's focused on his band. Cool. I'm glad to hear that. Dude has got a lot of fucking talent. Yeah, I like Lazy J a lot. Man, they're just gonna keep reminding me what a fucking awesome party is going on over there. What am I drinking? It's Diet Coke, bro. Dude, I got one more day of like a lot of recording and meeting and shit tomorrow. And then I got a day off where I got to do none of that. And I really got to get Marshall some acapellas and shit. And I got to start writing on a new beat that he sent me. I'm in that mode where my body wants to do it, but we're just shooting so fucking much right now that my off time, I just want to sit and do something like this or play a video game or just fucking chill and read. But dude, I just got good feelings about the irons that are in the fire for Beauregard and Marshall Manson, dude. And Marshall's about to drop a video that you guys ain't even fucking close to ready for. You're not even close, dude. Yeah, Trip, yeah. Dude, that's the problem child right now, unfortunately. It's just like, I don't know exactly. We're going to make a way. Dude, the song is way too hype, so it's going to have to happen. I'm going to figure it out. but it's the problem child right now. There's two other beats on the deck that I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be able to. I mean, I just feeling it. Yeah, I mean that's the one that I'm most excited to hear come to fruition. But I also know it's gonna be the one that's gonna require the most magic. You know what I mean? We're gonna have to be done right. I don't have to figure it out. I haven't figured it out yet, but it's there. The answer is there. It's like a puzzle that's missing a piece. All we gotta do is fucking let it marinate, dude. We gotta let it marinate. You know, some some uh some songs you whip up on the stove real quick, like, you know what I mean? And some songs you whip up in the crock pot. That's how I look at it. I've thought about it that way since I was a teenager when I was like just fucking around with Apple Nasty and shit. It was like there were some times where Rod or Morgan, the two kind of guitar player guys, would be just riffing on something. They'd have like a little riff that they'd play. And man, that fucking riff would get stuck in my head. And it would always, like, for me, it was always something that they didn't really like all that much. They didn't think it fleshed out enough. But then it would happen for me one day. They'd be playing it, and I'd just hear some lyrics in my head, and I'd start singing it. And then a song would be born. I didn't write every fucking song for Apple Nasty. It was a very fucking, collaborative deal. But the ones that I wrote, a lot of them came from shit like that. Little ditties, little riffs, little tiny fucking these songs ideas that it's dope somehow, but it just doesn't fit yet. Songs are like that, man. I'm telling you, the shit for Drip came to me like a lightning bolt. Like the lyrics and the kind of structure, how the lyrics could be structured on it, but then like how do I do it? Like how do I fit it? Because I basically can't perform the song as I envision it. Limited by vocal range. It just requires a screamer that can scream in a different way that I can scream, It's frustrating. Because to have this song in your head so fucking clear, but to not be able to put it out. But it is what it is. It's gonna happen. No, I loved it, dude. No, you were dead on. You send me anything that you want to send me, you fucking send me, Marshall, because you batting 1,000 as far as I'm fucking concerned. Every fucking beat that you've sent me, like, hey, check this out or whatever, and I check it out and I'm like, ooh wee. You sent me one I didn't see it till yesterday because I'm bad at Twitter, but he sent me one a couple days ago, I think, and I just saw it yesterday and I was like, fuck. Already heard the structure of the song in my head, just like, but I've got this other one on deck. I just got to get it out. I got to get you the acapellas for it, but it's so tough. It's so rough and so tough. I feel like I can't have too many goddamn irons in the fire. I have to at least deliver you that shit to pull up my end of the bargain. I gotta fucking get that fucking acapella done. And we gotta let Drip roast. Do you like the new Bernie meme? It's already gotten old for me, to be honest with you. It was cute the first couple of times I saw it or whatever, but just like every other goddamn meme, the internet drives it into the ground. Finishing things you start. How quaint. Yeah. No, I just, because it's such a sporadic thing when I'm able to work on it that I have this tendency to be flighty and want to move from this to that to this to that. Years of laughs and insights. Appreciate you, man. Oh, thank you, Brandon. That's very nice of you. I appreciate you as well. Thank you for watching all these years. It's become a boomer meme now. Yeah, I mean, it's just what the internet does now. It takes a meme and then it just extrapolates on it to the point that you're tired of seeing it. Man. It's beautiful. Oh, this Excuse me. Can hear that trombone, man. Bump, 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 bump. It's pretty dope. Dude, 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 dude. Excuse me. It's similar to a movie repeating its theme from the first minute in different variations throughout the movie. Internet memes end from that crap. Yes, they do. I assume he means people who can afford to drop $50 super chats. What? Who are we talking about here? Did I miss something? Who's Jacob? What did Jacob say? It's got everybody in a fucking tizzy here. I don't know. Whatever it was, I missed. Whatever it was, I missed. Maybe I don't have chat on live chat. Do I have top chat on? Yeah, I did. I have top chat on. Well, let me put it on live chat, and Jacob can say what he wants to say. There we go. He said, fuck, you guys are rich or something. Dude, just because a dude dropped a $50 super chat doesn't necessarily mean he's rich. He said he was doing it for years of entertainment that he's had for me and stuff. And like, yeah, you don't necessarily have to be rich to drop a $50 on something. I appreciate a $50 super chat, and I appreciate a 99-cent one too. They're never things that I solicit, so you know, if somebody saved up money for a while and wanted to pop me a little bit of their stimulus check or whatever the fuck, like, that's cool to me, and I appreciate it. So Paul, tangent option. Why all the hate on Ridley Scott wanting to go more in depth on Alien than just creepy alien kills things? OGs are masterpieces, but androids bring more depth than man. I mean, look, dude, I just spent a long fucking time immersing myself in the Alien franchise. I told you guys a few days ago I just finished a long series retrospective script that is, moving into production and stuff. It'll be a while before it actually comes out and shit, but it's just going to be something that's done and that I can release when we're ready to do a relaunch and shit. And I gotta tell you guys, man, I don't know that I can have another fucking conversation about Alien right now. Just wait and you'll see. Like, honestly, well, here, I'll address what you said. Fuck it. No. Androids are not more interesting, and no. Androids do not, by their nature, add more depth. And no, more depth was not necessarily needed in the Alien franchise. Prior to the introduction of androids, not as a side character and a side occurrence in the universe, but as the central focus of the movies, there was plenty of depth in the Alien films. You know, they're not just complete brain off action movies. There's a lot of depth. There's a lot of human fucking relationships going on there. There's great dialogue in those films. They're shot beautifully. They're conceived of beautifully. The fucking effects shots, the practical effects in particular, are amazing. Is that going to be on Cinema for Cynics? Oh, yes, it shall be. That is where it will land. I love watching Paul going from, I'm not going to expand on that comment to, oh, fuck it, here's why you're wrong. And I don't know, dude. It's just like, it's not Alien. He should have called it Android or something and put it in a different universe, or put it in the same universe and just not involve the alien and just inferred that it was in the same universe as Alien by using Weyland-Yutani and made it a fucking... But it's like he felt compelled to continue using the mythology of Alien, but tried and bait and switch us into a movie about a philosophical fucking conundrum. Who creates the creator, and should you meet your creator, and You know what I mean? What happens if you meet your creator and you're disappointed? That seems to be the core philosophical concepts that he really felt like he wanted to explore. And he had to do that in the Alien franchise? Why? Just make an Android movie, man. And you know, I might have received the movie better. I probably still wouldn't like it, but I think the movies were hampered by the fact that they were trying to be like a new thing, but also give enough winks to alien people to keep them believing it's an alien movie. Like, there's not enough alien in either of fucking Ridley Scott's movies to call them part of the Alien franchise, but they're both considered to be such. It's just not, you know, it's fart sniffy, man. It's poop sniffy. Some things, like look, I'm not anti-lore. Some things are really, really served by this deep dive into lore. But some things are not served by, like, think about it. Lord of the Rings, right? If you've ever read the Lord of the Rings books, or any of Tolkien's works, really, you know that he was a stickler for detail. He packed those books with detail. He just treats every paragraph like it's a sumptuous meal. He wants to pack it with just evocative visual language that really takes you to this place, and he really wants to take you on a deep dive into what this place looks like. He's not the type to say, oh, the green field rolled and looked beautiful against the blue sky. He's the type of dude to like tell you what the dewdrops on the grass look like, and tell you how the grass differs from other grass, and tell you how long it rolls and what that appears to be, and what the river looks like as it approaches the horizon, and how that differs from what it looks like up close. The sound of it, and all of the sumptuous, beautiful visual and audio details that you would expect actually walking into a place. He's really attempting to evoke that a lot of the times in his works. And it really works for him. And that's like a deep dive into the lore, because a lot of that is the lore. He'll also dive into like what happened 900 years ago on this same plot of land, and what the kingdom that came before it was. He's all about the lore. I mean, for fuck's sake, the dude wrote 2 languages. I think 3, actually. 3 functional, full languages that didn't exist before, translatable into English so that he could write these books and their accompanying books. So Elvish is a language that he wrote for it. The language of Mordor, I can't remember what the name of it is now, but it has a name. The tongue of Mordor has a name, and that's a whole fucking language as far as I understand. And the Dwarven language. Black speech, right. All 3 of those, with Elvish, as I understand it, being the most fleshed out and usable as a language, are functional languages that he wrote, not because he needed to, but because he wanted his world to feel like it was living. So you're talking about that as lore, right? Well, how does a movie like Alien hurt by it? When you ask a question that doesn't need to be answered for Alien to be fundamentally interesting. The premise of Alien was never the problem. You know, you framed your question to me like, oh my God, Paul, how many fucking movies can you do with an alien chasing after people in the dark and stuff? And it's like, as many as you have the creativity to do. That concept, the whatnot chasing people through the dark, has been redone so many fucking times in so many classic, awesome films, that if you're going to tell me the Alien franchise can't find new and interesting ways to do that, I'm going to call bullshit. And if you're going to tell me the best fucking choice for the franchise is to completely eschew what made everybody love it and try and repackage it as some deep psychological, physiological, fucking metaphysical examination of creator and creation, and you know what I mean? It's just fucking like it's not deep. It really isn't. Don't be fooled by people that tell you that there's tons of deep and ponderous meaning in those films. It really isn't. It's really simple shit. It's like Ridley Scott had a fucking boner for this idea of like, how does religion interface with like, so we go searching for our creator in the form of religion. Well, if we were to create sentient life and it was able to have access to it, how disappointed would it be to see us? That really seems like the operative idea behind both Prometheus and Alien Covenant. And he was just like, well, in order to sell people on a movie about this, I better throw a couple alien things running. It's fuck you, man. Eat a dick. And he does it by layering it and going, oh, this is an alien origin story. No, it isn't. This was a way for Ridley Scott to jerk off and tell a story about androids coming to grip with their own fucking existence in the far future. And that's all there is to it, dude. And I really think that the movies would have been better off completely different films. Both of them are beautifully shot. Both of them are typical Ridley Scott visual feast fare, every frame a painting kind of films. I'm not going to take that from them. But the goddamn content of them is just shit. Fart sniffing, self-obsessed shit that never really should have been put in an alien movie. And if it was, it should have been fucking crowbarred in a better way. Well, I thought I liked Prometheus more than I actually like it. I don't know what to tell you about it, man. I had to watch it 2 more times to write this review that I've been talking to you guys about. And, whoa, dude, that music got epic over there again. Yeah, I had to watch it 2 more times. And I'm telling you, man, the flaws just become more and more apparent as time goes on with it. And like watching it so close in the shadow of these other films too, these other alien movies. Man, it's just not good. It's not as bad. Like if I had to choose, like if I was going to hell and the devil was like, you must choose one film to watch endlessly for the rest of eternity, Prometheus or Alien Covenant, I'd immediately go like, Prometheus. Wouldn't even have to think twice about it. Prometheus. I'll watch that one. But that doesn't make it a good movie. That just means it's less shitty than Covenant was, really. And I think that's why I gave it so much wide latitude. Because I was like, well, at least it was better than Covenant. But after going back and watching Prometheus again, I was like, whoa, it's really not all that much better than Covenant is. Nope. It is more watchable, but only by a skosh. Hell fucking yeah, man. Fuck you, COVID. That band has got me hyped this far away, man. It's been a minute since I heard some music like that coming over on the wind. Making me homesick. Hey, Paul. Once I learned to sail and the finer points of navigation, just say the word and I'll pick you up at the nearest ocean and we'll sail into the sunset. All right, dude. Hit me up when you know how to sail and we'll go sailing. Don't be telling me that like, hey, Paul, I'm about to embark at some indeterminate point in the future on learning how to sail. And, come on, man. Tell me when you know how to sail and we'll go sail. Dude, that band is hot. They haven't even fucking paused, really. And I can hear the fucking just like distant, like gruff ass rumble of that brass. So I know that's a live ass band. And I'm just like, man, that band is just fucking hot. God damn, man. I want to go over there and drink fucking Tecate and just get trunk and eat chili verde and meet people. Fuck you, COVID. Anyway, sorry. But I'm gonna be salty when I hear something that sounds like a good ass fucking time. Seems like your neighborhood is loud music friendly. To be honest with you, the neighbor who's having that party is probably like close to a mile from me. I live out in the middle of nowhere and it's relatively flat, not totally, but flat enough, like a little rolly in my area, that it comes in through the trees and shit. Like I can hear people from pretty far away most of the time. But yeah, that neighbor's probably a good mile away. But yeah, ain't nobody out here gonna bitch at you if you're playing fucking loud music on a Friday night. That's the point of living out in the middle of the fucking country like this. Paul, didn't you say cops should raid all parties? What? Man, don't quote me, boy, because I ain't said shit. Mariachi music has never appealed to me, but hey, to each his own. Yeah, I'm not trying to evangelize it to you. I'm just telling you I appreciate what I'm hearing. How good are your internet speeds out in the country trying to find a better ISP? I don't even really know, Otello. They're okay, but a lot of that's dependent on geography and shit. They might not be okay 20 miles from me, so I don't want to give you fucking false information or whatever. But you said they should break up any get-togethers because it could cause COVID and banned me because I disagreed. Well, dude, do I look like the fucking cops to you, bro? Why don't you just shut the fuck up? How about that? Both times you've managed to fucking piss me off. Could you just shut the fuck up? Have you not gotten the point? Just shut the fuck up. Yes, we should live in a country that takes COVID seriously. No, we don't. And if you're going to tell me I can't enjoy the fucking badass mariachi music drifting over on the wind and sit and think about better times when I could safely go participate in some of that, and instead I'm going to be on my fucking cell phone like a little snitch boy calling the cops to something they're not even going to break up. It's like you're wrong. There's no need to ban him, by the way. You can unfucking ban him. He can keep his fucking second account or whatever the fuck if he truly was banned one time for disagreeing with me. But just shut up. Quit being so fucking self-centered and quit thinking I give a fuck what you think. He's just timed? Well, good then. He deserved a time. Dude got the whole chat peppered up. Yeah, he did, dude. He peppered up the whole chat, including the host, dude. Dude, I'll tell you what, unless somebody is in imminent fucking danger, I will never, ever, ever call the cops. That's when I call the cops. Like, the only time in the last probably like 3 years of my life or 4 years that I've even considered calling the cops was I was sitting out on my porch one night with Amelia. This was back when I lived in the apartment complex back in Louisiana. And I was sitting on our porch, smoking a cigarette or whatever. This was not that long ago. This was just a few months ago, couple months before I moved. And there was this argument that broke out across the street. Like, not across the street, but across the complex from me. Like, right across our little, not in our building, but in the next building over. You feel me? And, like, I was listening to it not out of being metiche. Not out of being, nosy or whatever. But because it sounded like it was about to get violent. And I'm not going to let somebody get beaten to death or whatever the fuck. I'll call the cops. For me, like, it's worth rolling the dice on that shit. But in the absence of that, if I don't think somebody's being victimized, like there's a loud-ass party, dude, I've never in my fucking life called the cops on a loud-ass party. Never. Not one time. Just ain't me, dude. Just ain't me. Sorry. I'm not Captain fucking COVID-19 enforcer, okay? Maybe one of the neighbors will call the cops on him and go, ah! And maybe a fucking cop will drive out there and say something. And if it does, they knew they took that fucking risk or whatever, but I doubt anybody will fucking say anything about it, and I really don't care. It ain't my job. I mean, I think the point he was trying to make was I was talking about how cops should be out there breaking up fucking big gatherings of people and shit. Because it's those big gatherings of people that keep COVID spreading around and around and around and around and around and around. And I stand by what I said, but he somehow thinks that me vibing to the fact that I've got a neighbor that has thrown a party somewhere and I can hear some mariachi music coming through, like, that's somehow a refutation of what I said earlier. Like, or that I should somehow, like, instead of vibing to the music, what little bit I can hear drifting in over the hill there, and instead be calling the cops or whatever, is just fucking ridiculous. And that's all there is to it. Never been to a party with a jazz band? Maybe that's an old-fashioned thing, but when I was a kid, man, that used to be... We used to go to this party, like, not parties, I guess, but they were like socials at... Have you guys heard of, like, the Order of the Elks? They're one of these, like, fraternal organizations, like the Shriners, there's the Elks. They're, like, usually, like, a male-only fraternal organization. Usually have local businessmen and upscale... The Moose Lodge, yeah. So there's the Elks Lodge, where I grew up. And... they would have these socials that, you know, people around town would go to. You'd buy tickets to it, and you'd go there, and it was totally dope. Like, we'd dress up a little. It wasn't like some highfalutin kind of event or anything, because it's in the middle of a podunk little farm in town. But everybody would put on, like, a little their nicer clothes or whatever they had that was a little nicer, and they'd get together. It was like a social event. And there was always a jazz band playing at them. And it was so cool. Not always, but I remember going quite a few times and there being like a little jazz quartet playing. And they'd play like old jazz standards and shit. Had a very kind of like purposefully swanky kind of thing to it. I got to go to those as a little kid, man. I love that shit. Captain COVID Enforcer, breaking up parties and stopping fun. Captain COVID Enforcer, dun 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 dun. Not concerned about himself, but concerned about everyone. COVID man, excuse me, stop playing that wonderful mariachi music that I haven't heard played live since I left my hometown. I've got to stop this party. Paul, you said in the last Highdeology that you open your mind to contemporary music, but there is a ton of amazing genres outside of Western music. I love Afro beats, Eastern European, Greek blues. Sure, dude. Like, I can open my mind up to some different, like, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I won't claim to be all that knowledgeable about what pop music is going on in different parts of the world, because I'm not. I don't listen to a lot of acts that are generated outside of the kind of Western sphere of influence. So you're absolutely right about that. I bet there's some bomb ass shit out there, and you know, I'll try and do a listen. Try and give it a listen. Japanese funk is the vibe. Okay. Now this is. I didn't want to turn the whole damn chat into everybody telling me their weird little, you know, esoteric niche thing that they're into from a different country and shit. Like, I want to listen to some of this shit, but I'm not going to remember any of these genres that you're throwing at me and shit. Hit me up on fucking Twitter. Send me a Twitter DM. The worst thing that happens is that I don't read it or whatever and don't look at it, but I mean, whatever. German neo jazz is the shit. Oh, yeah, dude. Yeah. Dude, what about Filipino funky fresh pop? Have you heard Filipino funky fresh pop, dude? I like that shit. I'm still waiting on those urban shanties. Yeah, dude. I don't know if that's possible, dude. I think a pirate trap song might be the best thing that ever happened, and you might end up with something that you don't even want to release, you know. It's a 50-50. It's a coin flip. I don't know if the culture is ready for a trap shanty. A hood shanty. I don't even know. Like, I believe in the power of the crossover and I believe in genre blending. I really do, but I don't know if the world is ready for a trap shanty. I worked with TJ on some tracks that never got finished. One was a pirate sound rap song about big jiggly asses. Well, maybe TJ's the guy that'll bring it. Maybe, you know, maybe that song will eventually. That's what'll bring the hood shanty to hip hop. Peruvian guinea pig ska metal, man, so tight. Yeah. How do we come up with a word that describes a type of high seas music and also a dilapidated house? A shanty. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's a good point. I don't know. Trap shanties. Take a swig and do a jig, yeah. Mumble rap Gregorian chant. Lean. Molly and lean. Yeah, I was starting to do the Halo theme, I think. I can't remember how it goes though. Isn't there like a something like that? Something like that. Pretty close, yeah. Is it I can't remember. I haven't heard it in a minute. Dude, the first Halo blew my fucking balls right out of their sack. I gotta tell you guys this right now. I'm not a big fan. You're not gonna hear me evangelizing the later Halos, but that first game, you have to understand. Up until Halo came out, there was legitimately no game in the mainstream. Maybe there's one I'm unaware of, so don't correct me if you're an actually guy. I'm talking about amongst kids where you and a buddy could get, like, there was multiplayer shooters, right? You get in a match, you be on a team with your friends, be against. That already existed. Halo didn't invent nothing new like that. Here's what Halo did that it sounds fucking normal, but it blew our minds at the time. In Halo, you could seamlessly go from being in a first-person shooter mode, right? You'd have your gun, you'd be shooting. We'd all seen that. That didn't blow our minds. What blew our minds was the first time I saw a demo video of Halo in an advertisement, and the dude was doing that, and then he walked up to a truck and got into it, and all of a sudden the camera pulled back and he was driving that truck. I was like, and then when I found out that the truck had a fucking turret on the back and his friend could be playing with him and jump on the fucking turret, and I was like, you guys don't understand. When Halo came around, there was no shooter where you could do this. It just didn't exist. The concept had been thought about by people. Like, how cool would it be if you could play this big multiplayer shooter and you could jump in a jet? Halo made it happen, and it was fucking insane. I remember me and my friends were just jaw dropped when that fucking first game came out. Couldn't stop playing it. Co-op is not what I'm talking about. Co-op existed. Like I said, you could do deathmatch. You could do co-op deathmatch. You could party up with your friends in the shooter arena before Halo. You could never get in a vehicle. You either had a game where you played against each other in a vehicle, or you had a game where you played against each other with guns. You could never, up until Halo, jump in a fucking car and fucking and then pop out of that motherfucker and chuck a grenade. That's new. Halo made the Xbox 100%, and a lot of people don't remember that about that first game, because going back and playing it, it's nowhere near as impressive now, but I'm telling you. You still remember the first Atari when it came out? Yeah. You and me both, Condo Paul. Oh, wait, you are me, but just from 15 years ago. There are rumors that New Vegas 2 is in early development. Oh. Hope they don't fuck it up. I love you, Marshall. Got all hopeful for a second, and then, in true pessimist fashion, followed it up with a Jesus Christ, I hope they don't fucking shit the bed on this one. Yep. Yeah, me too. It'll be interesting to see what happened. Bungie dropped working with Activision. Glad about that. That is nice. Whoa. Neck sounded like a bowl of Rice Krispies tonight. That can't be good. When you roll your neck around and it sounds like Rice Krispies, that's probably a bad sign, is what I'm guessing. Spent many sleepovers fawning over what me and my friend could do in Halo multiplayer. Oh, yeah, dude. See, me and my friends were a little older. Like, we were all, like, 18 when Halo came out. Because it came out in 98. I think. So we were all like on the cusp of moving out of our houses in college, that type of age. And we were still like fucking blown out by what you could do in Halo. Just playing that game together and being able to jump in vehicles together and shit was just so next level. It's hard to explain because it's like so taken for granted now because you can do it in so many fucking games. But Halo was the first time you could do that shit in a really popular, commercially available game. Like, I don't know if there was some game that was doing it before that, but fucking Halo was my first exposure to it and all my friends' first exposure to it. And as a concept, it's something that we'd all wanted for years and years and years, and here it was, you know. I kind of fell off the Halo train when it didn't really change much from 1 to 2. But I'd be willing to give it another look. You know, it's one of those franchises that I think maybe has a bum rap because I got bored with it. First person Diablo? I don't know, man. So salty. That's the mariachi band. I can probably hear it a little better than you guys can. I've got some human ears on it, and you guys have it filtered through an iPhone camera or an iPhone microphone. So, but it's mariachi music. Yeah, dude, I bet it is fun. Dude, I'm sorry to keep saying that, but dude, I really like, I miss being able to like get together with people and fellowship and shit and just like have a few beers, play some loud ass music, start a big ass bonfire. Like, one day we'll get back to it. Yeah. It's not even really something I like doing all the fucking time, but I'm telling you, the lack of being able to do it, especially at all, has really underlined for me like how much I miss that kind of vibe. The Minecraft soundtrack is great. You plan on getting vaccinated? Yeah, as soon as I possibly can get it. I'll get it as soon as I can get it. Absolutely. Yeah. I miss hanging that way too, drinking, smoking. Yeah. I actually had a couple of friends that were on a road trip that cruised by my new bunker here. And I was able to sit back here with them on the porch and we socially distanced and shit. And it was cool. We had some beers and we talked old times and we caught up. It was a couple of guys from, back where I grew up and that I stay in touch with. So they knew where I was at. They made a little trip to come see me and shit. Well, not just to come see me. They just kind of diverted on their trip so they could come and spend the evening with me. And it was cool. But it wasn't like that, man. It wasn't like a fucking... I'm trying to think when the last time I got to experience something like that is. And I think, to be quite honest with you, and it was nobody's fault but my own. I was in a terrible place. And I hate to say this, but I had this... I think the last time I was at a real get together was I was living in Louisiana, and my mom and stepdad and sister and brother-in-law all came to visit me. Well, actually, they didn't come to visit me. My brother-in-law had business in the area, and they ended up visiting me as a result, which was cool. But that was the auspices that got everybody in the same place. And so I wanted everybody to kind of get to meet everybody else. Because, I'd met the Kirk's family, and I knew my family would get along really good with theirs, and they did. You know, my mom got along with their mom just like I thought they would, and my dad got along, or my stepdad got along with their stepdad just like I thought they would. But the problem was I tried to get everybody together for a dinner, and that was just a bad fucking move. I should have just thrown a party or something. But I didn't have a place to do it, and I didn't want to ask one of the guys, hey, can I have this giant fucking party at your pad? And so I felt bad about that, and so I just thought, like, all right, well, to get everybody, because I wanted everybody to meet everybody, and I accomplished that, but that fucking dinner was just ridiculous to set up. Getting everybody in the same place and waiting for people to show up, and it was all my fault, because I tried to throw it together at the last minute, but that was probably the last time I had something like that kind of party atmosphere, and it sucked because I was just in such a shitty mood for it. That's nobody's fault but my own. There were probably better ways that could have done it. But I got banned before I could troll in Minecraft. At least you gotta kill. Oh, you guys are talking about getting banned from Minecraft? Yeah. Have you ever considered getting... All right, what are you guys talking about? DFF post-COVID super meetup? I mean, yeah, if we can do it safely for everybody, fuck yeah, dude. I mean, I've told you guys, we had, like, genuine plans for, you know, these kind of expanding tours. Because what we figured out was, I'll talk about this, and this might be just fucking not all that interesting for you guys, but fuck it if it's not. It's interesting to me, because what we found is that we could throw these meetups, right, and not make a bunch of fucking dough on it. But if we sold a little bit of merch and got a little bit of whatever the venue charged at the door, we could throw these meetups pretty much at cost, which made them like infinitely useful as like an outreach tool. And it also puts you in the zone of like, look, dude, if you can monetize these a little better, expand this idea, refine it a little better, we could even make a little bit of money doing this, justifying like a longer time doing it, meaning like a tour. So it's like mini free vacation too. I mean, I got to be honest with you, back in the DP days, meetups were kind of treated like that. Like, the guys were making a lot of fucking money back then. And these meetups that we would go to, like, yeah, we'd be in the area for a few days or whatever, and it was like a little getaway for us, and which was nice. The DFF meetups we've done haven't been like that. They've been like, we go there, we do a meetup, and then we're right back in the fucking business of making videos and shit. So I guess after the LA meetup, we did take a couple of days, which was nice. After the LA meetup, we went to the beach for a couple of days before flying home, which was nice. So it is nice, but these tours are not, like, our idea for that was more structured. Like, we could hit like 5 places in 5 nights and do this, like, you know, kind of bus whistle stop tour. The idea that we had, because this would have made it really great. You know, big cities, right? Doing these meetups inside of big cities is great, but it's fucking expensive. A lot of the venues that are clean and safe and cool for people to come to, they want like us to pay them in addition to the door charge going to them and shit. And it just becomes like exorbitant. But you know what? Where you can get cheap venues that are safe and cool? In all of the little like suburbs. So we had this this idea because it was right around the time that Trump had called some country a shithole country or whatever the fuck. I remember that was like the thing that was in the news. And so we were going to call it like the shithole tour of America. and do a bunch of these like little small shit towns that are adjacent to or near these big towns. Number one, it would be a thrill for, you know, the few people that ended up living in those towns that ended up being fans for us to have us come to their hometown instead of having to drive into the big city for once. So number two, big city people, if they really are into us, it's way easier to just drive 30 or 40 minutes outside of town and come to a venue and shit than it is to fucking fly or whatever the fuck. And if we're doing and have announced multiple stops on this tour, then so many people that have wanted to come see us might get a chance to do it. Well, I grew up in kind of one of those little towns, Otello, so that's the, you know, the idea was a three-way collaboration, but my addition to it was this idea of doing it in shitty little towns. You know what I mean? We could get cheaper venues there. Why not? Like, a venue in a smaller town that's adjacent to a big city will probably let you come if you can, because like there were some places, like back on DP, I remember the Toledo meetup. Toledo, is that where we did it? I'm trying to remember. No, not Toledo. Santa Fe. We didn't do it in Santa Fe. We did it in, was it in Santa Fe? Fuck, where was the DP meetup in New Mexico? Help me with my lore. I'm an old man now. We did a lot of meetups. I can't remember. Albuquerque. I got it before somebody put it in the chat. I just saw you there. You got it right. That meetup, the venue we got for it was so fucking stunned when we called them. We were like, hey, we think like about like 300 people, probably more maybe, are going to come, and we're looking for a venue. And they were like, what? You could bring 300 people? We were like, yeah, we want to do like a meetup. And they were like, fucking A, yeah, you can come here. We didn't have to pay them a dime. So that meetup, we didn't have to do a door charge for it either. It was just like free to the people who came. So that was awesome. And there are so many little venues like that, you know, that are different. Let us buy the place out. You guys gonna try to go back to the LA venue at some point? I know they invited us back. Yeah, dude, I don't think so, man. I don't know if you were privy to all the behind the scenes shit. I don't know how much you heard or whatever, but that place was expensive as fuck. And they kicked us out like fucking 2 hours early over some shit that was not our fault. They kicked us out because the fucking dude that was the manager of that place got spooked because of that dork that brought those fucking airsoft pistols. And so that guy got all spooked and he was like, this crowd, man, what if they have guns and blah, 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 blah. And he made some fucking executive call or whatever. Hell no, we didn't need to be fucking kicked out. Nobody at that venue was being violent or intoning violence. It was all love. It was all chill. It was all them making a bunch of money because people were buying drinks hand over fist. So if we go back to LA, we probably won't go back to that venue. No disrespect. I'll tell you who was cool as fuck was that security guy. Because let me tell you something, Marshall. You remember how all of us were allowed to go back to the green room? And that's because the security guy was the one that fucking handled it. That security dude was chill as fuck, and he was just doing his job. It wasn't his call to kick us out. He was the one that talked that manager into not kicking us on the street. Because that manager at first told him, take all their shit and put them out on the fucking street. And he was like, dude, you can't do that to these people. They paid you money to be here. They rented this place out. If you're going to kick them, but at least tell them they can go to the green room and fucking get their shit together and find out what they're going to do. And he bought us that. Yeah, see, the dude that was in charge that night was a dick, but he was smart enough to send that fucking security guard because at least he wasn't a dick. He was just doing his job, and he was cool to us. He let us chill back there in the fucking green room for another half hour or something and get our shit together. Didn't put us in the street. gave us the time to fucking find rides for all the people that were there and shit. You know what I mean? There's a couple like super drunk folks that needed some Ubers ordered for them, and that got done. And but yeah, that LA meetup was still dope as fuck, though. You know, it sucks that it got ended early, but otherwise, it was dope as fuck. It was one of the most memorable meetups that we've done. It was crazy. Dude, there was a couple of dudes that were fucked up there, but I remember one dude fucking just blew chunks. Like all over the fucking entryway of the place. I remember at first I was pissed off because I thought that's why we were getting kicked out. Because when I heard we were getting kicked out, the security guy let me back into the venue so I could talk to people. Because he knew I had shit in there anyway. But everybody else was being moved out. And I saw there was a big old puke stain that somebody had cleaned up. And I walked in and I started talking to the bartender first. And I said, sir, I said, what's going on? I said, I don't know, man. I said, dude, if it's about the puke or whatever, I'm sorry somebody puked. I'll mop it up, man. Give me a mop. Like, if there's anything left to clean. I didn't know he puked. I was like, you kicking us out because they puke? He's like, man, it's not, I don't think it's about that. But, you know, because I was like, you guys deal with puke, right? You're a bar. People have puked up in here before, right? So I'll clean it. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to fucking... Oh, it's not about that. And that at that point, that security guard grabbed me and Scotty, who was with me at the time. But like in a really weird switch of character, I was the one being the fucking tea kettle at this point. I was pissed. And Scotty was pissed too, but Scotty was more in like, I'm gonna sit and listen and analyze mode. That security guard dude pulled us in the back and he just pulled those guns out. And he was like, we pulled these off of a dude like an hour ago. And I was like, oh, my knees got weak. I couldn't believe it. I thought he was going to tell me that dude hurt somebody. Like for me, it just like the panic set in. Because it was so idiosyncratic to me. And I didn't know they were fake guns. It was not I've been around guns and they were those airsoft guns that unless you're really fucking holding one and looking at it and shit, you don't know. And he didn't hand them to me. He just held them out to me. And I thought somebody had brought fucking guns. And I almost fucking lost it, dude. And he calmed me down and shit. Like, I ain't ashamed to admit it. Like, at that moment, I don't like being around guns. And the thought that one of our fans brought a gun to our meetup, I started crying a little bit. And the dude was like, dude, no. Don't understand. These are fake. These are replicas. They're airsoft. He showed me, popped the little fucking fake clip out and shit. And I was like, I stopped myself. You know, I got myself fucking together. And I said, dude, I don't even know what to tell you. I said, we're not about this shit. I was like, this is not what we put out there in the fucking world. And we would never, ever, ever foster a fucking environment where somebody would feel normal bringing a fucking gun. And he was like, dude, I believe you. He's like, this is what shut it down. He's like, the guy that's in the manager feels like shit was getting crazy. And then that's when he told me about the fucking battle axe. He was like, some other dude showed up earlier, had a battle axe, and he wanted TJ to sign it. And I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. So, you know, on one hand, I guess it's fucking understandable. But on the other hand, you know, shit was not fucking out of control. That shit happened an hour before they kicked us out. I don't know. It just felt shitty, so we probably ain't going back there again. I wonder if those fans were at the Capitol building recently. I don't know. Well, there had also been some incidents near there recently. Yeah. There was. So there was like... It was at a fucking Trader Joe's. You can look it up. Like I think it was the day before, the night before our meetup, there was like a shooting at a Trader Joe's, like a mass shooting that was right down the street from where our meetup was. And so, you know, they were all on high alert from that shit. And I guess that excuse, it's just one of those fucking things, dude. To be quite frank with you, a place like that, as nice as it was, and as well situated as it was in LA, it ended up costing us money to do that venue. Not a bunch. It was offset a lot by our portion of the door, but because they kicked us out early and shit, we ended up owing that venue money because they had what's called a bar minimum, which is something I didn't know it existed until I started fucking looking into renting venues for meetups and shit. And that's one of the things that they'll get you with on these contracts is you've got to pay them a certain amount of money and you have to meet a certain bar minimum, which means that the people that show up buy a certain amount of alcohol. Well, they booted us out fucking 2.5, almost 3 hours before they were supposed to close us out, but they still expected us to come up with the whole bar tab. I was there at that meetup. I was wearing a PlayStation shirt, and I was like Paul and opened up my arms wide, and you were like, "Bring it in, buddy." Of course. I don't know that I remember you. A PlayStation shirt, you have to forgive me for that because I give a lot of hugs and I do a lot of meetups. But I mean, that definitely, I can tell you've hugged me because that's exactly how it goes down. Huh. So fucking. It's like the fucking second time something like this has happened. And it's just so fucking annoying. I don't know whether to just end the stream when shit like this starts. I've done that before. I'll share with you guys what's going on. And this is pretty rare for me because it's a little personal. So I've shared a little bit about the fact that I've been dealing with panic attacks for most of my life, or most of my adult life, into my adolescence and shit. And I've shared with you guys here before that those panic attacks got worse over the last 2 years of my life. Got markedly worse. And for a long period of that time, and in fact, for all of that time, until I got medicated this last year, I was unmedicated for it, other than, smoking weed, which had helped me in the past and continues to. But I've had this shit cropping up, and I don't know what it's about, man. But it happens when I'm in front of this shit or I'm making a piece of content, and this is not something I've had to contend with in the past, which is I'm trying to word this properly. I've always had a mental gear that I could shift into when I was doing performance stuff or sitting in front of a group of people or whatever the fuck I was doing. And that seems to be impeded now because it's like proof to me that this mental disorder that I've got is a progressive one and that it stands to get worse. But another thing is going on with me as well. So I was prescribed a drug that helps a little bit to mitigate these panic attacks, and it was pretty successful and pretty immediately successful in helping me. When I moved, I had to get a new doctor, and when I went to that doctor for my refill on this particular type of drug, and And just to start my relationship with that doctor literally didn't listen to a word I had to say. Now, I got to tell you, I've looked into this. I'm on a relatively small dose of this drug. My doctor took a look at my drugs, or the doctor that I went to when I first got here took a look at my drugs and just decided that he was going to cut the drug that had helped me in the dosage in half. And ever since he's done that, I have been contending with this fucking shit again. And it is really fucked. The dude wouldn't even listen to me. He told me he was cutting it in half, and I said, why? Well, sir, this can, and I'm not trying to fucking be mean. He was an Indian doctor, had an Indian accent. Well, these types of drugs can be very, addictive. And I was like, sir, listen, and he didn't want to hear it. He treated me like I was some kind of drug seeker or something. He's like, I'm going to wean you off of this. So I made an appointment with an actual psychiatrist. I think that's the one that is it psychologist or psychiatrist that can prescribe medication? I think I'm right, psychiatrist. And that psychiatrist, I told him what happened, and he immediately wrote me another prescription. But here's the problem. I can't get that prescription filled for another 6 days. I've been on a half dose this whole time because I went ahead and filled that half dose prescription because half of my dose is better than not at all. And due to the laws in the state that I am, and because this drug is classified as a narcotic, I can't get my new prescription where I can start taking the dose that actually helps me. So there's that. So this has been something that has kind of put a hamper on everything I've tried to do, and it sucks because it's so traceable to that. It is so fucking traceable to me having my dose just arbitrarily cut in half. And so I'm dealing with it. And what that means is I'll start to feel a fucking panic attack coming along. And I have a feeling, and it's so stupid, but I have a feeling it's triggered by me sitting here talking about seeing that gun. Because what's behind my reaction to that gun is that I had one pulled on me and held to my head, which you all know about. So I'm not a person that has a very easy time around guns and shit. And the thought that somebody had brought that to one of my meetups was immediately fucked up to me. And I think it was just recalling that shit, PTSD, while I'm diagnosed. That's the form that it takes. So and it's not even something I thought about when I was telling you that story. But I tell you what, 3 minutes after I was talking about that guy busting a gun out and bringing his guns out, I'm sitting here fucking choking back a panic attack. When shit gets real like that, it doesn't matter how fucking arbitrary the mention of it is. And I don't know for sure that was the trigger point for this panic attack, but I think it bears mentioning. Is it coming down? No. I mean, kind of, a little. I don't know. It's at that point now where I think it might be okay, but it is such a fucked up feeling. I've never known how to describe it to people other than it feels like you're going to fucking die. And the onset of one is almost worse. And that's where I'm at now. I'm at that fucking point. And it's like, what do I do? Do I stop what I'm doing? Do I stop doing my fucking job because I'm dealing with this? No. Fill your lungs up with deep breathing of clean, fresh country air. Well, There are some breathing exercises that I can do if it doesn't go zip, zoop, zoop, zip, zop, doop, zoobity bop. Oh, yeah, no, I'm not drinking at all. I have Diet Coke. I don't drink. Not to the extent that I would go and run and go. I've never medicated panic attacks with drinking. I really don't want to medicate a panic attack with anything. There's really not anything that intercedes directly in it. The medication that I'm on is a long release medication, and so it's meant to be in your system all day. I miss soda. I quit drinking it because of my blood sugar. Yeah. I've somehow dodged the old diabetic diagnosis. Never been diagnosed pre-diabetic or diabetic. Had blood work, I don't know when it was, 3 months ago. Don't ask me how I did it, but I dodged that one. Ugh. Glad you feel comfortable to open up to chat. I hope it. You know what it is? I know there are people that deal with the same shit. I know that people get medication that might help them and then they get fucked around on it. I know there are people that don't even have fucking health insurance that can't even get the medication that they need. And so they're just fucked up all the time. And common suffering is common fucking suffering. And for me, it was better than turning off the goddamn show. I don't know if it's gonna... I don't know if it'll be something that subsides without me having to fucking take a little step aside here and do my exercises or whatever. I don't think it'll come to that. But the onset of a panic attack is a really fucking nasty feeling. And I just hate fucking dealing with it in the middle of my goddamn fucking work. Drinking never really helped my panic attacks, made them worse in the long run. I know that. I mean, I've tried medicating them with different things. I've had them my whole fucking life, as far back as I can remember. And I went undiagnosed and misdiagnosed for many, many years, untreated and undertreated for many years after that. And I've spent most of my life in that position where I'm under-medicated, improperly medicated because I'm misdiagnosed, or unmedicated completely. Paul, will you tell a funny story? Love from a Russian fan. Tell a funny story? Maybe I'll bust one out for you at some point. If I can think of one that I haven't told everybody, but I'm not in the... I'm in a conversation slump right now. Funniest panic attack? I don't know. I don't think any of them are all that funny. The only thing that can completely get rid of my anxiety is what? Ugh. Is that the key to life? The key is getting stoned. Oh. Well, I'm glad it still helps you. It actually helped me. I got a green card back in California right when they first started getting them to people, as soon as I could. I hadn't stopped smoking weed for a long time before that, but it had been a while. It wasn't like a day-to-day thing for me anymore, and I was like, look, I'm going to try this. I tried it, and it really helped me. And it helped me for a while. It's the major reason why you guys see me smoke as much bud as I do. It helps to fucking mitigate that anxiety that's constantly under the surface of everything. It's the one thing, and I'm the kind of person that can sit around and smoke it and remain lucid enough to sit and have a conversation and shit. But I've reached a point in my life where it's not enough. It doesn't work like it used to. And I got to tell you, man, the panic attacks that I'm talking about, when they get into full effect, and I told you guys this, I think, the other night, because this happened to me fucking the other day while I was doing one of these. And I talked a little bit about it then. When I fucking went face first into the door on that episode, I was in the midst of one of like probably like 3 or 4 dozen panic attacks that I'd had leading up to that during shows. And that's, you know, that's when I went and reached out and got help and shit. And what I was put on almost immediately helped me. And it's like, appreciate you too. Thanks for watching. Called 911 before from a panic attack. They make you completely irrational. I mean, yeah, they can. Yeah, what drug you done? I mean, there's Order 66s are never in effect unless I call for one. But if somebody's like obsessively fucking doing it, then give them the boot. Please, I only have rubles, very poor. You don't have just rubles. You're giving American Dolores. I have but one small ruble, comrade. Please, are you for telling me funny story? I'm afraid you get what you get on this show, my friend. Very rarely do I take requests. I have but one ruble. Growing up, was anti-communist sentiment common? Yes. Communist was a pejorative even amongst the left when I was growing up, for the most part of it anyway. When I hit high school and stuff, I started to hear some of the kids that were around school that were a little bit on the artsy lefty side start to talk about communism in positive terms. But it was pretty much a strong pejorative when I was young. I only have one ruble. Please to be giving a ruble. Yeah, dude, here's a funny story for you. There once was a man from Nantucket whose dick was so long he could suck it. And blah, 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 and blah, 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 and whip it around and he could fuck it. That's basically where it goes. There you go. What rhymes with ruble? Nothing really, but like soft rhymes, poodle. Yeah, you could soft rhyme it with a few things probably. Noodle, doodle. Ha, I laugh very much, thanks you. You welcome, comrade. Na zdrowie, eh? Feeling better. Feeling okay. Thanks for bearing with me through the bullshit. Thank you, Train. Chilled out Paul. On his way to chilled, at least. That's a good thing. Feeling better. Feeling much better. Unfortunately, my phone... well, I don't know. This phone's battery is pretty fucking good compared to my old one. I'm looking at the time that I've been live, and I'm like, this phone's battery is going to fucking scream at me at any point, and that's when I'm going to end it. But that may not be true. Let me check. Don't go anywhere. Let me check. I'll be right back. All right. It's doing okay. It's a little below half. So, you know, there's your limiting factor. It's a little below half. Bad vibes. I don't think a shillelagh chases off bad vibes, but maybe I'll try it. I'll try anything, man. No. I mean, like, look, dude, I'm not trying to bitch about it or whatever. A lot of people suffer with that shit. Not a lot of people talk about it. And you know what I mean? I'd rather not end a show when I don't feel like ending a show just because my body decided to throw me into a fugue state or whatever the fuck. Like, if I can intercede in it and talk about it, then good, you know, better off that way. That is one thing that I have learned about this type of shit is you don't always win, but you got to confront. If you got a problem like I've got, like I've described, you have to confront it, man. You have to take it head on when you feel it coming on. You have to do something about it. Because if you just let it happen, it'll happen every fucking time. I mean, I talked about the trigger, Condo Paul. I'm pretty sure that the trigger for this panic attack was me remembering when that dude whipped out the guns that dude brought to that fucking meetup. That was a tough moment for me. I don't like being around guns, and the thought that somebody that watched me would bring a gun to where I was or where my friends and all my loved ones and shit were. It's like, fuck. Hit me like a ton of fucking bricks. And I've diagnosed PTSD from being the victim of a violent crime when I was young that you guys have all heard about. And one of the triggers for that PTSD is when somebody produces a fucking gun. Not every time and not under every context, but under that context it did. And I think that remembering that triggered a PTSD-driven panic attack. That's my guess. I don't know. There's no clear, like, line to my triggers and shit. Sometimes they seem to come out of the blue, yeah. Like sometimes I can't think of something that triggered them, and maybe there is nothing that directly triggered them. But oftentimes, if I really think hard about it, did I think about something that's a trigger for this? Bodily harm, people being abducted, people being taken against their will, people being hurt, people being shot, people being flippant with guns, things happening that involve guns, mass shootings. These are all things that I've had trigger panic events in me. I don't tell people about it. I don't cry about it. But these are things that are in our culture that happen all the time that, you know, not every time I hear about them, but can be triggers for panic events in me. So I know that firearms and their use and people being hurt unnecessarily and people going through something that is in some way similar to what I've gone through can cause obtrusive thoughts about that event and trigger a panic event. In this case, I had no thoughts about the event, but the panic response. It's just the way it is sometimes. I was in a poli-sci class my senior year of high school, and a kid next to me smelled me and pulled up his shirt just enough to show he had a gun on him, smiled at you, and pulled up. Oh, fuck, dude. That's fucking crazy, dude. That sounds like something out of a fucking horror movie or something. My doctor won't give me prescription for benzos. He continues to try and put me on SSRIs, even though they give me bad effects. Any advice? Find another fucking doctor. That's the only advice I can give you. If you have any power whatsoever to fucking get a fucking second opinion, go to a doctor and find one that'll listen to you and tell them that SSRIs make you worse and you're tired of taking them and you need help. Don't ask directly for benzos, but I'm not telling you a doctor shop. Sometimes people aren't put on benzos for reasons that are good. So I'm not telling you it's perfect for you, but if you feel like your problem isn't being addressed by your doctor and you have any fucking say in it, it's incumbent on you to do it because nobody else is going to do it for you. Working the night shift in Amazon fulfillment. Sorry to hear that, dude. But happy to have you all the same. Yeah, I figured as much. I'm going to keep trying. Sick of these panic attacks. Yeah, I mean, you got to do what you got to do, man. I don't know what to tell you. Are they letting you pee? Yeah. Sad you have to ask that. Kid brought a gun to my school once. He got caught and arrested, though, because the moron bragged about it. See, that type of shit, man, believe it or not, I know there were events, there were shootings at schools that predated fucking Columbine and shit, but it really seems like I don't remember one fucking time that I even heard about a kid at any of the schools I attended, all the way through fucking grade school, middle school, high school, bringing a fucking gun to school. I never heard about anything like that even remotely fucking happening. And now it's almost like something I hear from younger people that happens a lot. And it's like, what? That shit was just so far beyond anybody's fucking thought process when I was younger. Never happened to me. Columbine created a virus. They did what they set out to do, unfortunately. So many shooters credit them with inspiration. Yeah, you're probably right about that. And the media plays a role in that. The media at the time was rightfully called out for their constant fucking coverage of this shit and their publishing of parts of their little manifesto and their journals and shit and these in-depth look at who they were. The media has a fucking responsibility to realize that incidents like this are often not isolated. These isolated young men that perpetrated this, there are other young men like them out there. There are other young people like them out there. And it's like fucking, you have to be careful about this shit. The media, listen, you got to understand. Columbine came at a time when, that type of thing, nowadays, I can't even remember the last mass shooting that happened. That's how fucking sad it's become. But I remember Columbine because it legitimately was the first time that the people in my culture, my parents, my era, my fucking generation, nobody had seen anything like it. These fucking kids walked into a school and killed a bunch of kids and teachers and shit. It was insane. But the media fucking drove a frenzy and covered it like it was just the most salacious shit. There were pictures of these guys plastered everywhere. Non-stop coverage for months. Sandy Hook was 10 times as deadly. Yeah. But you have to understand, it was just so outside of the fucking, even thought process. Somebody brought a fucking gun into a school. Shot a bunch of people with it. Now it's just a passe fucking thing. Yeah, I mean, you're right about that, Phoebes. There's a reason why those kids' names are pretty much household names still. I feel like I'm giving my money to a stripper next to the train track. Very nice. Ah, yes, comrade. You're familiar with this. In Russia, many strip club by train track. Yes, comrade. You see less titty here, though. Nothing is perfect, comrade. Nothing is perfect. Hey, I've paid Paul to strip before, so it's not inaccurate. I have done it on occasion, but you know what I mean. Train, ship, tank parts for motherland. Yes. Yes. Make motherland strong. Yeah. I've seen some crazy shit in my lifetime, man, and was old enough to kind of contextualize it in an almost adult way. Like, Columbine happened the year after I graduated high school. So I graduated high school in 1998. Columbine happened in 1999. And then in the year 2000, there was and early 2001, there was the dot-com crash, which was this insane fucking correction of the stock market where all these tech stocks lost all their value because it was all theoretical and hypothetical and pumped up and bullshit. So all these tech companies went out of business. I lost my job in that. At the time that happened in the year 2000, I was working for, well, no, it was early 1999. I lost my job because it was a slow rolling fucking thing. So in early 1999, I was working for MCI WorldCom. No, it might have been early 2000, now that I think about it. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I was working for MCI WorldCom as a fucking phone tech support guy for HP Pavilion Computers, and I got the pink slip because that fucking company went bloop, like a big bloated dead fucking grouper, man. Just like one day we were all getting paychecks, and the next day it was just like bloop, no more such thing as MCI WorldCom. It was like, whoa. Yeah, my hire date was day one of Y2K. Well, yeah, that's true. My hire date at Starbucks was day one of Y2K, so it had to have been the end of 99 then, whenever it was. There was the dot-com crash, and then in 2001 was September 11th, which was another paradigm-shifting event. And then in 2008 was the near destruction of the global economy in the housing bubble crash. I've been through some crazy those are some crazy fucking events in human history that'll be learned about in history classes for a long fucking time. Columbine, it'll be talked about till the end of fucking time here in America. Maybe not to the end of time, but for a long fucking time. 9/11 was the craziest. I mean, in terms of just geopolitical impact and like psychological impact on the populace, I think you're right. I think Columbine is a close second, though. Columbine sent people into this wave of panic and fear that made these school shootings, I think, in some ways, self-fulfilling prophecy. They empowered Dylan Klebold and Eric Harris. No, not empowered them, but empowered their memory in the minds of disaffected kids, and just made this. It really showed the impact that somebody could make, and we're all to blame for that. The way that people reacted to it by instantly casting suspicion at every kid. It was just like you had to know that there was like little nascent shooters out there like Cho Sung Hui and fucking who's Elliot Rodger and names I've forgotten, that saw that happen, that you know what I mean, and saw the impact that those people had, not just on their little town, but on the fucking nation, on the world. The world covered that event. And it's like, I think fucking Marshall is right. You know, they were helped along, but those two guys, fucking mission accomplished for them. They made us fear one another. And we still do. And they gave us good reason to fear one another because they unlocked this fucking long ignored fucking problem in this country. They tapped into it in a way that was just really dark and really perfect for a lot of fucking kids that were on the fringes. They tapped into a nerve. A lot of these kids were bullied a lot. A lot of these kids had totally unaddressed mental problems. You got to understand, man. I grew up at that time, and I just got done talking to you guys about my panic attacks and how I'm a 40-year-old man, and I still don't think I have the right diagnosis. I still don't think I've been examined by the right kind of professional to know exactly what it is I'm fucking suffering from. You know what I mean? And so back in those days, dude, mental health was a joke. So all these fucking kids, they saw that shit. And then when another one did it, they saw that shit. And I think Marshall was right earlier. I think these guys unleashed a fucking virus, a psychological virus on this country and maybe on the world at large that was tapped into by a certain element of disaffected young teenage men. For the most part, that's who's committing these, or early 20s men. You feel powerless, neglected, forgotten, untreated mental illness, untreated social deficiency, pushed to the margins of society, bullied for what they are. I'm not trying to excuse what they've done, but if you're going to try and tell me there's not a large group of people like that out there, and that some of them might be fucking unstable enough to pull some of this shit, and that seeing the media fucking cover it and seeing the rapt attention that we gave to it didn't drive some of these shootings, I don't know what to fucking tell you, dude. They didn't just come out of the fucking ether. And I'm telling you, this shit just did not fucking happen. And then it did. It was Grand Theft Auto 3 that started it, huh? Oh, shit, man. I forgot. I forgot about that. You're right. That evil fucking game came along, and then everybody started shooting each other. No, I don't think GTA 3 was out yet, homie. It was Mortal Kombat. Just going to repeat once. That's why I dressed as one of them, to make that image uncomfortable. That is what you do. You put these kids on stage like rock stars. It's fucking sick. Yep. You know, ultimately that's what happened. That's how the media treated it, and they became that kind of a force, a mythological kind of force, you know, and people followed in their footsteps. Some of them maybe not even directly influenced by Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold themselves, not even knowing much about them. Maybe they were influenced by one of these other shooters that followed in their wake. Anyone commit suicide at your school? Yes. There was one young lady that committed suicide at our school. I was not super duper good friends with her, but while we were in school, yeah, she committed suicide, and I remember it being like pretty rough at the school. Really weird as a teenager to have known somebody. You know, like I said, I wasn't her best friend or anything, but I knew her. You know, had been around her, and to just know somebody is like poofed, it's like, whoa. Especially when you're younger like that. And I had a high school friend who later in his 20s took his life. I had a family member take his life. So, just tough stuff, man. Been adjacent to that enough times to know how destructive it is for people to go through. Nobody cares about bullying till someone dies. Well, I mean, it's a totally unaddressed problem in this fucking country. And it's really not all about bullying. I think that trying to say that it's bullying that caused Columbine is to reduce Columbine to a simple event. And Columbine was anything but a simple event. Nobody can jump inside the mind of Eric Harris or Dylan Klebold, but what I can tell you is this, is Columbine was driven by a number of fucking things. And a lot of it started right at home. There are ways for parents to intercede in the lives of children who have social deficiency. There are ways for parents to intercede in the lives of children, and there are measures parents can take to protect their children from this type of thing. And neither of these kids had parents that did that. To blame it on the parents, though, is also reductive, because what control really did they have? That was the culture. You worked, and sent your kids off to school. If they were getting bullied, you just trusted they'd get through it. And that was that. So the culture's to blame. Is that even reductive? Can you boil it down that far and still make it a statement that sticks? I don't know. But there was a lot going on that led to that event. It is surreal to lose somebody close, Brianna, and I'm sorry to hear that you did. I tried to make the principals at school enforce the rules on reductive behavior, but ignored it because of loopholes. Okay. KMFDM, yeah. They listened to KMFDM and Marilyn Manson and Metallica, and there was all this fucking hand-wringing about that being the cause. There was hand-wringing about violent video games. They played Doom, and they played this, and they played that, and they played this, and they listened to that, and it was just like, it's like, fucking, are you kidding me, bro? Or do you really think that this event is as easy to explain as these kids listened to rock music and decided to go shoot up a school? Are you fucking nuts? They played a game and decided to grab their parents' guns and fucking procure a bunch of guns on their own and go commit a big fucking school shooting and kill themselves. Okay, bro. And that's what it was. That's what the media did. That's how the media belly flopped on it. So they covered it like there was some easy scapegoat, because that's what people wanted. People wanted to know, like, why the fuck did this happen and shit. But the media didn't want to take the time to actually tell the nuanced story of why something like this happens and what can be done to stop it. They wanted to fucking give people the easy way out that didn't implicate parents sitting at home. Nobody wants to turn into the news and see the finger pointed at them when something nasty or rotten happens in the country, even if that's who's to blame. And so they want to hear that it was something else that they can point their finger at. Oh, it was those video games. Oh, it was this constant shifting away from Christianity that goes on in this country. Oh, it was this violent movie. Oh, it's this music with all this Satan stuff in it and all this violence in it, this gangster rap. It's this, it's that, it's this, it's that. And it's never like really, like, the answer is sitting right there in the fucking Barca-lounger with a cigar. It's mom, it's dad. You know what I mean? That's really the people that should have interceded in this before it got to that point. That's really the people that should have been more involved in their children's lives and known when they were procuring a bunch of goddamn fucking weapons. Those are the people that should have fucking interceded. Those are really the only people. That's the first line of defense, and it failed miserably. in every one of these cases where there's been a shooter. That line of defense failed. The second line of defense is supposed to be fucking teachers and people that work in the fucking social system and shit. They're supposed to catch kids like this. I guarantee you Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold had social problems at Columbine High School before they decided to shoot it up one day. And I can almost guarantee you that had somebody properly interceded in the lives of these young men, that tragedy maybe wouldn't have happened. So there's missed opportunity number 2. Nobody wanted to talk about that, though, because that implicates every mom and dad. That makes every mom and dad at least have to take stock and go like, what the fuck, man? Do I have a little Eric Harris? Do I have a little Dylan Klebold? Am I not paying attention to my kid? Am I letting my kid go through a bunch of fucking shit at school and I'm just being oblivious because I'm so busy? Is that what I'm doing? Nobody wants to do that. I want to tell you what, dude. You want to get in a fight? Make a fucking offhanded, slightly critical comment about something a parent is doing with their child. You want to get in straight up an immediate verbal fight. Make even an innocuous, tiny criticism about how a parent is doing with their child, and they will blow up in your goddamn fucking face. You don't know what you're talking about. You can't tell me how to raise my kids. You don't know what I'm talking about. You don't know what I deal with every day. You don't know what I do. You have no right. Everybody's so fucking protected because nobody wants to admit that they are the ones that are responsible for this little life that they fucking created. They want to act like there's some fucking underlying reason why they failed their children. Fuck you. Especially in the black community. Well, I don't know anything about it. I'll defer to you on that, Jawan, as a member of that community. But I'll tell you what, dude, it's not as uncommon in the fucking white community as you might think it is. Let's put it that way. I've seen it a billion fucking times. Now, on one hand, it is kind of obnoxious to talk about somebody's personal life without any fucking frame of reference. But I'm telling you, man, parents are extra defensive of you going like, hey, maybe you should not like fucking let the kid do that. Or, hey, maybe, you fucking tell me. They don't want to see their own hand in their child's behavior. Exactly. They want to believe that everything is just some problem that's out of their hands. Every behavioral problem that their child displays is something that was out of their hands. They did their best, and they had nothing to do with it. And it must be this, and it must be that. There's got to be something else I can blame. And you know what the fucking problem was? Columbine held up a mirror to a lot of parents, but the news media ran by with a bottle of fucking spray paint and painted over the mirror before they got a good look at themselves in it. Because there was a lot of parents out there that had sons that were just like Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold. And they were given a scapegoat by the media to continue to ignore their sons' problems, and look what it led to. Look where we're at now, where I can't even remember where the last one of these fucking things took place. It's absurd. I wouldn't have said anything to them. I would have listened because that's what nobody else did. Yeah, Marilyn Manson and Bowling for Columbine. He had a good take on it, and he was actually one of the people that the Christian fucking right was trying to point the finger at. The Christian right and the people adjacent to it, which was a lot of people in America at that time. There were a lot of people in America that weren't on the Christian right, but they were lapping up a lot of the Christian right's social concerns and social commentary and shit. It was a time where the Christian right was ascendant in power, and a lot of people didn't understand how powerful it had become and had just kind of started to internalize these completely, utterly ridiculous religious arguments. Remember when I was young, I read that the media is more deadly than the atom bomb. I didn't get it then, but as an adult, I completely agree. Perception is 100% reality. So to be able to control the narrative is absolutely more destructive than any atom bomb. Not directly, but in aggregate, absolutely. Being able to fucking have your fucking finger on the trigger of the narrative and what people believe happened is way more important than what happened. It's the way it is, dude. It's probably the best outcome of the atheist movement. We didn't convert everyone, but took a lot of the power away from the church. I don't know about that, dude. I don't think the atheist movement did fuck or all. I think that at the time the atheist movement came out, there was already a slow but steady trickle of people out of religion. The numbers were already moving away. They continue to move away. And I think they will until religion is a marginalized thing in America. But I think it's going to be a number of years before that we get to that point. Christianity is capital P pervasive in America. And religion outside of Christianity is pervasive in America. So it's going to take a long time, but the trend is clear. On a long enough time scale, that was going to happen anyway. And I really don't think the atheist community accomplished shit. Maybe that's me just being pessimistic about it, but it was a circle jerk, dude. It really was. The people that it reached were people that would have been reached by the same argument anyway. Maybe it already came to the same conclusion on their own. And the people that weren't going to be reached by it weren't. And I don't think it accelerated or decelerated anything. I don't think it took away the power of the church or anything. I think the church still has enormous influence over what people think in this country. Like I said, as an aggregate, not person to person. But what I was talking about in the 90s, you know, this had like people buying into this religious argumentation without really being religious themselves, still pervasive this day. So. Oh, well, that was fun. I'm going to go ahead and end this. Thanks, guys.